This is 5 Live Sport. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Good afternoon, welcome to Premier League Sunday. Great to have you with us again. 3 more Premier League games this afternoon and we are at all of them. At 4:30, we've got commentary of the big one, that's Newcastle against Liverpool. Before that though, we're at Bramall Lane as Sheffield United welcome the champions.
Oh, and the ball's played through! Alvarez! That wraps it up! City are doing it in style!
Sheffield United against Manchester City in full here at 2 o'clock with updates of Burnley against Aston Villa. Then at 4:30 we're in the northeast for what could be the game of the day.
Anthony Gordon sends it over, 1-0. Super start for Sandro Tonali.
Oh, what a pass! Oh, and what a finish! Luis Diaz sliding in!
We'll also have updates from the Dutch Grand Prix where Britain's Lando Norris starts alongside Max Verstappen on the front row of an exciting grid.
The pace is good, but I'll say there's more weaknesses than strengths at the minute. Yeah, I mean, we've got Mercedes behind. They're quick. Their race pace is normally always very, very strong. So, yeah, we try. We can score some good points. I think we can aim for a podium, and that's our goal.
Commentary of the Dutch Grand Prix will be over on 5 Sports Extra.
This is 5 Live Sport.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Yes, hello, a very warm welcome to 5 Live's Premier League Sunday this afternoon. Not Steve Crossman, I'm Alistair Bruce-Ball. As you heard, there were all the games in the Premier League today. We also have commentators, reporters and pundits spread across the globe for you today to bring you all the sporting action. Yeah, top of the table, West Ham. Manchester City, if they win at Sheffield United, have a chance to go above them. They are now the only Premier League team that can make it 3 wins out of 3. Sheffield United, Manchester City is our commentary at 2 o'clock. Our first Premier League commentary this afternoon. We're going to pay our first visit to Bramall Lane because Ian Dennis has the team news ahead of this one. Hi, Ian.
Hi, good afternoon, Ali. Yeah, just the one change for Sheffield United. Baldock replaces Lowe as the right wing back. So Foderingham in goal. Back 3 of Robinson, Ahmed Hodzic, Egan, Baldock, Norwood, Sousa, Osborne, Harmer, Asula and Traore. Manchester City, of course, without Pep Guardiola. He's back in Spain after a little bit of minor back surgery, so he'll miss the next 2 games. But they've made 2 changes. Ake for Akanji and Bernardo Silva for Foden. Doku, their new £55 million acquisition, he's on the bench. So Edison in goal, back 4 of Walker, Diaz, Guardiol and Ake, Bernardo Silva, Rodri, Kovacic, Grealish, Alvarez and Haaland.
OK, thank you, Ian. Paul Robinson, former England goalkeeper, alongside Ian Dennis for commentary this afternoon. That's at 2 o'clock. Another game kicking off at 2 o'clock in the Premier League is at Turf Moor. We're going to have updates this afternoon of Burnley against Aston Villa. Maz Faruqi with the team news from this one.
Thank you, Ali. Yeah, this is, of course, just Burnley's second game of the season because of the postponement of their match at Luton. So there are 2 changes to this 11 from the opening day defeat to Manchester City here. Benson Manuel and summer signing Hansdale Kwa come in. Vitinho is on the bench. Jordan Bayer doesn't make the matchday squad. Aaron Ramsey, their new signing this week from Villa. And I hope you caught his Barbie reveal video on social media, Ali. He is also on the bench. Emi Martinez isn't fit for Villa. He has a calf issue. So Robin Olsen starts in goal. The other change for Villa from the Everton win last week, Diego Carlos comes in with Leon Bailey named as a sub. OK,
we'll discuss that team news in detail. Just the other side of the 5 Live news with Carl Hartley.
This is 5 Live Sport.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Yes, 5 Live's Premier League Sunday. Welcome back. I'm Alistair Bruce-Ball. Very pleased to have Steve Bruce, Aaron Lennon and Nedum Anua alongside me in the studio this afternoon. You can hear the sound effects coming through from Bramall Lane loud and clear. That's our first Premier League commentary of the afternoon. Sheffield United against Manchester City. Let's head back there then. We find our senior football reporter Ian Dennis, who was just bringing us the team news ahead of this one. Alongside him, former England and Tottenham goalkeeper Paul Robinson. Paul, so just looking at those 2 team sheets, welcome to the show. What do you make of it?
Yeah, good afternoon, Ali. Pretty much what we'd expect, really. I think Sheffield United don't have that much to select from. The squad's not that deep, as we know. They've sold some of their key players, one of which been Sander Berge to Burnley, one of their so-called relegation rivals. And if you look at their squad, they've just added to it now with Cameron Archer, but it's arguably weaker than it was when it finished last season. Manchester City, 2 changes, as you say. Silva comes in. and Ake comes in at the back, and listen, they're a juggernaut, aren't they? We all wondered how they'd start this season after last season. Pep saying that they'd had 2 weeks less pre-season, 2 weeks less preparation, but the juggernauts picked up from where it left off. They're very, very impressive.
Yeah, I wonder, Paul, whether we might get a chance to see Jeremy Doku this afternoon as well. He's on that City bench, isn't he? And he's slightly different in terms of a sort of City winger, say, compared to someone like a Grealish, a Foden, or previously a Mahrez or a Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, he gives them a little bit more. He gives them a pace. He's a bit more direct. He's very forward-thinking, and he's another exciting addition. And you look at the players that they've lost. They've lost Mahrez, and surprisingly enough, they've let players go that you wouldn't suspect them to do. But Pep does that every year, and he rejuvenates his squad. He regenerates his squad, and they seem stronger than ever.
Yeah, that's the Bernardo Silva coming in there, Nadem, for Manchester City. He's just signed the new deal. Is staying at the club. Fantastic news for City, that.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think it was every summer for the last 3 years. It's how he's linked. He's going to Barcelona, and then look, he doesn't go to Barcelona. And I think it's good from their perspective to be able to tie down players like that. I think he's been there for 5-6 years already, if not more. So to see that he's that comfortable being a key player for this team, I think is a big boost for them, and having him back as well now, because I think he's been ill for the last week. So yeah, it's a nice step for them, and I think Kyle Walker might be next potentially with a new deal. Yeah, so continuity it's not a bad thing, is it?
Actually, just looking on my team sheet here, Ian, in front of me, Kyle Walker skipper. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's been the case.
Yeah.
This season. So obviously against his former club. And Paul talks about the players who've left. They completed the signing, Sheffield United, this morning of Cameron Archer from Aston Villa. They'd agreed the price on Wednesday for £18 million, but not eligible to play today. But we are led to believe that 10 minutes before kick-off he will be presented to the crowd here at Bramall Lane, their new striker. Yeah,
and Ian, you said it just before the news, but just in case people are tuning in and didn't know, were unaware, Pep Guardiola is not there today, is he? So he's missing the next couple of games.
Yeah, he's underwent minor back surgery, so he'll miss this game. He'll miss the Fulham game. He's due back after the international break. So Juan Malillo, his assistant who returned, will be in charge today. And if anybody's thinking, well, I wonder how that will affect Manchester City. He missed the Swindon FA Cup tie, you might recall. He was isolating with COVID, and they beat Swindon 4-1 in January 22.
Okay. Well, let's throw that one to the panel. I've got Steve Bruce, Aaron Lennon, and Nedum sitting alongside me. Steve, there must have been times in your career where you weren't able to be on the touchline for your team. How do you feel that impacts?
Yeah, I think I don't think the impact will be maybe on the touchline. It's probably the impact that he's not going to be at the training ground maybe for the next 4 weeks. That maybe is a bigger impact. But look, his assistant, I'm sure, is a really, really capable man. And when you see the squad and when you see the strength and depth, and you just look at the team sheet today, you just wonder, is there anybody capable of stopping them? Because they're proven to be as good a team as you're ever going to see. They've got the balance rate, the strength and depth, and of course, for me, the arrival of Haaland, the boy up front, is just the icing on the cake, because that fella is nothing short of miraculous. Yeah,
Aaron, in terms of not having Pep Guardiola there today for the next game as well, do you think it will have any effect on this?
No, none whatsoever. I think, like I said, like Steve said, City are phenomenal side, and I really think they're going to run away with the title this season. I don't think anyone's close, and I think Pep being away for a couple of games is not going to hinder them whatsoever. I think they'll win this comfortably today.
Oh, wow, everyone's still so confident.
They are, aren't they?
Yes, nice to hear, kind of. No, I'm never as confident, but, I might appear quite daft since they win like 80-90% of their games anyway. But, Sheffield United, it's them playing at home. That'll be a big boost for them. It's early in the season. If they also have a chance, this would be it. This is the best opportunity. And I think for me, in terms of a manager not being there, I want to ask Steve really, how do you go about picking your number two? Especially because, in a moment like this, I've been in situations where there's a manager, then there's everybody else, or situations where the manager and everyone else are all together as one. Where you can't speak to the fitness coach in a bad way, because it's basically the same as speaking to the manager. Yeah. So how do you go about?
You demand that respect,
exactly.
And really a really good number two, which I'm sure this guy is, will create his own respect. So the lads will have a respect for. I think that's key to it. whoever you appoint as your number 2 or your coaching staff, they don't have to make the big decisions. They can be the one who can put your arm around you and be that sounding board, if you like. So I'm sure the guy is multi-talented and capable of picking a team, but I agree with Nadim. It's a really difficult one. I've had probably 6 or 8, all different personalities. The one thing I look for, as you probably know, is I look for somebody who can do it on the training ground. I think that is key, to work with the players every day and earn their respect that way, being a big good coach.
Have you ever had a bunch of players, because bear in mind you've been in the game for such a long time, even say when you were playing, the ones who would look forward to the manager not being there?
No, I think hey, you're going to tell me something different here. You know something different that I don't here now. You're going to hit me with something here from my Sunderland days. No, it's a deep question, but I would like to think not. But I think the thing about management is, certainly my own self, is to try and be as honest and as open as you possibly can. It's obviously a difficult job, because at the end of the day, and I say this regular, you've got 23, 24 guys in the squad of players, right? You can only pick 11. And if you've got something about you and you're not playing on a Saturday, you're quite entitled to knock the door. And I think that is it's changed a bit slightly now, because I think what you're saying, Aaron, about playing in a midweek and playing in the Champions League, rotation has come into it a lot, which the players seem to accept. Where when I first started, or 10 years ago, the number of players, if I left you out, you'd be the first knocking on the door. What the hell are you doing?
Not lightly, if you're in there.
Paul Robinson, who's at the ground. I was just thinking, Paul, as good as these City players are, and these are some of the best in the game, they've won everything. Do you think, though, that sometimes, and I'm not saying it's necessarily going to happen today, but when the chips are down and you turn to the touchline and you see Pep Guardiola standing there because he is who he is and he's achieved what he's achieved, that actually it gives you a belief and a confidence that if you are in trouble, you're going to get out of it just by his very presence there, which is not going to be there for the next couple of games.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you get to this level and you achieve what these players have achieved and you win what they've won, there's an element of professionalism, of personal pride, of doing your job, of wanting to win every week, of not wanting to be beaten. Everything that Pep Guardiola's put into these players over however long he's been there, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, every day on the training ground, this machine is a well-oiled machine. With him not being there, we've had managers not being there before, and I've likened it to the teacher not being there and your supply teacher. And there's a few of you like misbehave and the classroom misbehaves. But this Manchester City side, I don't think there's any naughty boys in there.
Well, it's interesting as well, because Juanmi Lillo, who is going to be on the touchline today and is taking charge for Guardiola, was talking about the contact that Guardiola's had, which has been absolutely constant kind of throughout the week in training, but he's decided not to do a sort of video call, Aaron. So he said Pep prefers to speak face-to-face with the players, so it'll be me dealing with it in terms of a pre-match message. The form and content is his work. We're not doing a video conference because he doesn't want that. So on match day today, the players are not going to see Guardiola. The pre-match message is not coming from Guardiola.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that's the trust he puts in his number 2. Like I said, a lot of the work he's done on the training pitch, a lot of the work he's done throughout the week. But like I said, when it comes to match day, I think that's a great sign of a great manager for me, that he puts his trust in his number 2 and says, there you go, match day's yours now and you deal with it. And like I said, I really don't think it's going to have an effect on today. I think, like you said, and like Paul says there, City, they're a machine. They do this week in, week out, and you don't do it consistently that they have, without being the professional players that they are, and they're top players.
In a funny way, Steve, do you think being removed from it occasionally, I mean, I don't just mean you can go and sit up in the stands and watch a game and you get a certain distance, but actually being totally removed will give Pep Guardiola a slightly different perspective. He might come back in a few weeks' time with
yeah, I'm sure he'd be watching it, and when we talk about them, I'm sure he'd be watching it and analysing it and taking every bit of notice of it. What makes the top player is the professionalism. And these guys, to do it week in and week out, for me, the reason why they're the top and they keep to the top is to still be the best player on a Saturday or a Sunday or wherever we're playing now. They are driven in a way what makes the top player. And a lot of it's mentality, their mentality. And this group of players, of course, they're talented, but they've got a huge desire to continue to keep winning.
What have you made, Nedham, of the City performances so far. Yet to concede a goal in the Premier League, 2 wins out of 2. Got the Super Cup win as well.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
It's a reasonable start. No, yeah. I don't see them playing their best football till later in the season. I think we've historically seen that, but it's a strong start for them nonetheless. I think the fact they've not conceded is a bonus, but for them it's just getting the points on the board, and they understand it's a very, very long journey. Look at the last season, for example. They were second for 80% of the season and came in when it really mattered the most. But it seems like they've got a familiar pattern in play. They've had to go through a few changes, and the squad feels a tiny bit light at this moment in time.
Right.
But maybe there's another one to come in, perhaps. But the fact is, they're managing to get results. Like in the Super Cup, there were long periods where they weren't great, but they found a way to win it. Obviously, the week before, they lost to Arsenal in the Community Shield. But against Burnley, they did what they needed to do. Against Newcastle, they came with a different sort of plan, because a lot of people, as was the case today, a lot of people fancied Newcastle to be able to upset them. And I was myself included in that, because they had such a great first week and City had a couple of people out. But then it kind of goes the other way and you forget who they are as such. So I'm sure they'll be happy with how it started, but no, they can still improve.
I heard Callum Wilson actually talking in the Footballers Football podcast this week about that game, Stephen. You mentioned the impact Erling Haaland has had, and Callum Wilson was making the point that actually they felt they looked after him absolutely brilliantly, Erling Haaland, last week, and didn't really give him much of a sniff, a couple of chances that he dragged wide, but in doing that it opens spaces up, and they've got so many other brilliant players. Alvarez sticks one into the top corner. City win the game.
I still remember him having 2-3 chances, and you were shocked that he didn't really take them.
Yeah.
He sort of scuffed a few. And I've always said in management, I've said it many, many times, I always believe you're only as good as your strikers and your forward players, because they can. For instance, Callum Wilson was one at Newcastle. I always knew that's why trying to get him over the line was hard work, let me tell you, because of his age and he's got a bit of an iffy knee, but I did everything I could to take him there, because he makes a difference. The centre forward makes a difference to score a goal. And if you're Sheffield United or any team in the bottom half of the division, is how can you score a goal? And it sounds easy enough, and it's a ridiculous statement, but they are the most important ones. They can be the difference, if you like. We're talking about Everton before we come on now. Haven't scored a goal yet, and it's that end of the pitch what Sheffield United now, they've invested a lot of money in a young kid, and they're hoping that he can score a goal for them to keep them in the division.
Paul, if you're Sheffield United's goalkeeper this afternoon, Mr. Fotheringham, you're probably expecting you're in for a busy afternoon. But I guess actually, you'll have been in that position. You probably fancy it, don't you? You fancy testing yourself. These are the games that you really want to see what you've got against the very best in the world.
Yeah, you're going to be busy, and for a goalkeeper it's sometimes good. Quite often long periods of the game, top goalkeepers are not involved in the game. You look at Edison, you look at Alisson, for example, they'll maybe make one or two saves tops in a game, whereas Sheffield United's Fotheringham is probably going to make 10-15 saves in a game, and that won't be just today, that'll be through the whole season. But games like today are not going to define Sheffield United's season. Sheffield United won't get relegated if they lose to Manchester City today. It's the performances previous to this game against Crystal Palace, against Nottingham Forest. They're the games that they have to take points from.
Yeah. We'll chat Sheffield United a little bit further down the line. What have we got? 40 minutes until kick-off. That's our first commentary on 5 Live Sport. BBC Sounds this afternoon, the place to listen to it if you're on the move. Sheffield United against Manchester City. We mentioned Bernardo Silva briefly, so he's back into the team today. Phil Foden is on the bench. Silva fit again after an illness. This week decided to commit his future to the club. He had a massive offer to move to the Saudi Pro League, has a long-standing desire to play for Barcelona as well, as Naden mentioned. In the end, though, decided to extend his time at the Etihad until 2026. That's the new deal, takes him through until then, which I'm sure is great news for Pep Guardiola. And after winning the treble last season with City, Bernardo Silva is aiming to help them become the first club, he says, to win 4 league titles in a row.
Trying to create even more history, make this team even more a team that people will not forget after 2-3 years, because what we've done in the last 6 years was unbelievable, winning 5 and 6, winning the Champions League. But if you stop now, you're just one of the best, and if you keep going, maybe people will remember us as probably the best, and that's where we have to aim. So the ambition and the levels of focus to be there again this season are very high.
Aaron, that's interesting, isn't it, as the motivation for I mean, it must be very difficult, actually, to leave Manchester City, because in terms of playing your best football at a top club, you probably know it's not going to get better than that.
Yeah, and I think Bernardo Silva is a top player. I think he's so important for that team. He can play in numerous positions. He looks like a top professional. You can ask him anywhere to play along that team, and he's going to play and do a job and still probably be one of the better players. But like you said, yeah, where'd you go from City? Like you said, he's turned down Saudi. He obviously had Barcelona there. For me, like I said, City are the best team in the world, and I don't know why you would ever want to leave there in a minute anyway.
How big a deal is that in terms of an aim this season for City to become the first team to win the 4 league titles in a row, Nedum?
Yeah, I think it is a big deal. I think Guardiola likes to do things that haven't been done before. When it was one of the first seasons when they got the 100 points, getting the chance for the club to win their first Champions League, winning the 4 domestic trophies one season as well. I think that will matter to him, because he knows, and the squad know, how difficult it is to do those things. Otherwise, we'd see them all the time. So I think they will be very much driven to try and do that. They know that, you're not going to be winning a treble every single season, because along that journey last season, they did play well, but they had elements of good fortune, whether it's people being available or things going their way within matches as well, people stepping up at certain times. But yeah, I think to start a Premier League season knowing that if you win it this time, then it's the first time team's ever done that. Like, come on, that's huge.
Steve, playing for Manchester United, you've been in that sort of scenario, haven't you?
And of course it stems from the top, and you're right, he'll want it. Guardiola, that's what makes him the great manager. Sir Alex was exactly the same. As soon as you won something, it was over with, as if it was yesterday's news. And the next thing is, how do we stay there? How do we win next time? And I remember Sir Alex bringing out envelopes at the start of the season. He had 4 envelopes, and he said, "There's 4 names in here who I know will not do what they're capable of doing last year, because I believe that the hunger in you will." And we were all like, how dare he question us like that, And of course there was never any names in the envelope. We never found out the names, but amongst the squad, when he walked off with the envelopes, we all thought, wow, who the hell is that in the envelopes, But that's what makes them driven. He drives it. I mean, Guardiola, let's not forget, he's a top player and all, I mean, this fella could play and all. I mean, how talented is he? You even see him on the dance floor and he does a bit of... So, I've got the highest respect when he's at that level, when people are at that level. And, the way the game's changed, so many teams now are trying to emulate, copy him, if you like, which can only be the sign of greatness.
Yeah. Is it at all difficult, Steve, as a former Manchester United? I mean, you obviously admire them, what Manchester City are doing and the football they're playing, but as a former Manchester United captain, is it difficult as well?
The noisy neighbours are certainly noisy, that's for sure. I think you have to look. I'll always be associated with being a Red, of course, and I had 10 wonderful years there, and so it's amazing, because even in my day, Man City weren't in our league. They were in the Championship, for goodness sake. So, but the actual what they've done in terms of how they've gone about it, you have to really congratulate them. They've in a cycle over 10, 12 years, they've been quite remarkable at what they've done. From the players to the manager to the style to the other clubs, the way the whole City group works, it's fantastic to watch.
35 minutes from kick-off then. First Premier League commentary of the afternoon comes from Bramall Lane. Ian Dennis and Paul Robinson bringing you Sheffield United against Manchester City. Steve Bruce is here, Aaron Lennon is here, Nader Manua is here with us through until 2 o'clock, until commentary begins. Championship action, this one kicked off at midday. Flo Pollock, I think you're still waiting for a goal at Vicarage Road.
I am. Watford 0, Blackburn 0 still. Watford very much on top, Blackburn sitting deep, and Watford have just brought on their new number 9, Militor Rajovic. 6'3", Danish striker, announced yesterday. Can he help them break down this stubborn Blackburn side? 25 minutes left, Watford 0, Blackburn 0.
6'9", Flo. That would take some marking, wouldn't it?
It certainly would.
Thank you very much. Watford 0, Blackburn 0. We'll continue to keep you updated on that one. So Paul Robinson is waiting to commentate at Bramall Lane, former Tottenham goalkeeper. Aaron, of course, former Tottenham player for many years. So I think now the perfect time to have a little look at Tottenham and how they've started the season. Yesterday, 2-0 winners at Bournemouth. James Maddison off the mark for his new club. A very impressive individual performance from him. Dejan Kulusevski with the second. So, Aaron, and that's 7 points from the first 3 games. 2-2 at Brentford, beat Manchester United by 2-0, and then won yesterday. I mean, for Ange Postecoglou, perfect stuff.
Probably couldn't have gone any better. And what he's done, like you said, there was a few Spurs fans were unsure probably before he got there. But what he's done, the style of football they're playing, and I know that Spurs crowd, they want to see attractive attacking football. And you've got the players, the likes, and Maddison's been a great signing, by the way. But the likes of Son, Kulusevski, Richarlison, and Maddison in front 4 there, you've got to let them off the leash. And I think them players have been dying to. And like you take Kane away, them front 4 have been brilliant. But then also Basuma, that's a special mention for him. He's been brilliant in that middle of the park.
That is really interesting, I think, Aaron, isn't it? In that you quite often see that, a big money move. So he was absolutely brilliant at Brighton, arrives at Tottenham, it just doesn't happen, and then suddenly he looks like a different player this season.
Completely different player. Like I said, he didn't get a run of games, and now some players need that, and also probably a manager to come in and put their arm around him and say, you are that player, mate. He's got all kinds of ability on and off the ball. I thought he's been fantastic, but like I said, him, Maddison, the new boy at the back has been brilliant as well. So I'm really enjoying him. I thought it was brilliant yesterday.
Yeah, Paul, what have you made of the manager as well, Ange Postecoglou? I mean, not just the football, but I think from what we've seen of him sort of speaking publicly, he's winning Tottenham fans over very quickly.
Oh, Ali, I'm delighted. I mean, it took Tottenham a long time to appoint the manager, but the project, the redevelopment project, what we all talk about, the rebuild, he seems to be the perfect man for the job. And do you know what's really pleasing? For the first time in a long time, it feels like we've got a manager that doesn't feel like he's doing Tottenham a favour. With Mourinho, with Conte, you always thought they were there, or they're doing Tottenham a favour. You know, we win trophies, we're born winners. They always felt it was almost like they were under suffering there. We've got a manager now who understands the players, seems to understand the club, and the style of football that he's already put into the team. It's just been a good watch. I mean, under Conte, under Mourinho, it was painful at times. I mean, everybody talks about it's fantastic stadium, fantastic training ground, but on the pitch it was just a really poor watch. I mean, they were hitting teams on the counter-attack at home. They were playing 5 at the back at home. AC Milan in the Champions League last season, when they lost 1-0 away from home, they drew 0-0 at home. I mean, go out, lose the game 6-5, lose 7-6. At least give the fans a game. Let's see some goals. And under Postecoglou, with his scout network, with his recruitment, he's already made players there better, and his man management has improved players already.
Do you think there's something in it as well, Paul, in that, you know, having come from Celtic, the success he's had, you know, used to winning pretty much every game, you know, that kind of possibly rubs off a little bit on the... And that I know that's not going to happen for Tottenham this season, and there are clearly going to be ups and downs, but just what he's come from and that sort of winning mentality that he's brought.
Yeah, he knows how to win, and that's, you know, Steve will tell you, that's one of the biggest things for a manager. And I just think he carries himself very well. I think he speaks very well in the press, what I've seen of him. And if he's like that in the dressing room, I think his team talks are going to be excellent. I think the way that his pitch of his voice, the way that he pitches to his players, the way that he speaks, and he can hold an audience and he can hold a dressing room. And, you know, it's still very, very early days, but I really do like what I'm seeing, Ali.
I've got to say, so the way that they play, like, I think most players would say they'd enjoy playing in that sort of system, that sort of style. You know, if you say one of the fullbacks, you might be getting played in one-on-one, the forward line, they're moving the way they're moving. But this is a question I've always wanted to ask you. Since we've got 2 people associated with Spurs here, I want you to represent however many millions of fans you've got. What do you want from Spurs? Like, what is success for Spurs? Because in my mind, you know, I think like some of the other top teams up there, you know, they look at a season, did they win a trophy? But the more I listen to people talk about them under Ange, it's more like they just want to see attacking football. But I don't think there'd be many other teams that would say that, because they'd say, well, did we win a trophy at the end of the year? Like, what is the identity of Spurs as such, according to those that are within it?
Well, listen, I think, in all honesty, he's bought himself a bit of time by Harry Kane going, because people are going to understand, you take 30 goals out of that team, you know, you may as well take 30 points a season out of that team. They have to find another way. So his redevelopment project has just been given a little bit more time, in a similar way to Pochettino at Chelsea. Chelsea's expectation after finishing 12th last season, I know they've spent a lot of money, but is it an all-time low for a manager to come in? And I think with Kane going, Postecoglou's got himself that little bit more time. He's already winning people over by his style of play. But listen, results, it's a results business at the end of the day. If they're playing fantastic football and really easy on the eye in the fourth bottom come Christmas, he won't be in a job. He's got to get results and they've got to win trophies. Success for Spurs is regularly competing in the Champions League and challenging for trophies. I mean, a dinosaur like me was the last one to lift a trophy. That's how long ago it was.
And me.
Go on, Evan, what would you say?
No, I agree with what Paul's saying. This is going to be a rebuilding project since Harry's gone. But don't get me wrong, the Spurs fans do want to win trophies, and they do want to be challenging top four. And I think that's what they will be looking at. And Spurs should be doing that. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, they've lost the best player, and that's always tough. But like I said, they have still got a quality squad there. And for me, I still think they could be challenging top four. And they should still be looking to challenge to win trophies.
That's the thing for me, it's the trophies element, because even though Chelsea spent a ton of money, but they were really bad last season, as bad as I can remember them, but I hear them sounding like their success this season will be winning something again. You know what I mean? But for Spurs, it feels a bit softer, which is like, is this my perception, or is like that the reality of the situation? You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, and I think that's just because Spurs have only probably won in the last God knows how many years. Like I said, when me and Paul was there, so it's a long time ago. But like I said, I think there's two different. I think, like I said, Chelsea are used to winning a lot of trophies, so they're a lot of talk. But I still think it's similar. I think they're both in rebuilding processes, and like I said, but Spurs will be there this season. I think they're going to go well.
Steve Bruce, Aaron Lennon, Nedum Manua have been sitting, waiting, listening patiently. We're building up to our first Premier League commentary of the day. That looks to me like Cameron Archer might be out on the field at Bramall Lane. Ian, new Sheffield United signing, just being greeted by the fans. Is that right?
Yeah, £18 million from Aston Villa that agreed the price in midweek. Completed this morning, but not done in time to get it over the line for him to play. So he's had a little walk in front of the Kop, the ground, of course, that Steve knows very, very well, and he's back down the tunnel, and he'll be brought in, I would imagine, to make his debut either against Lincoln on Wednesday, unless they keep him back for Everton next weekend.
So we've got Paul Robinson, former England goalkeeper, alongside Ian for commentary very shortly. Steve, I'm going to stick you in Paul Heckingbottom's shoes up against Manchester City. What's the plan?
Well, you have to try and make it as uncomfortable as you possibly can. The one thing they're going to have to do is defend well, that's for sure. And if they get an opportunity, especially from set-piece areas, can they take advantage of that? I have to say it is a very, very tall order for them because of this quality that Man City have got. Even now, they seem, they're good against set pieces. They defend well. They've got great defenders in there now, so it's going to be a tall order, but they're going to have to perform at their maximum and hope that Man City have one of these rare off days.
They had a couple of, I remember watching Sheffield United in the FA Cup quarter-final last season, and they had a couple of Manchester City players, didn't they, on loan, who then couldn't play against them in the semi-final. But I mean, just in terms of sort of Sheffield United players, and they're going to be well aware of the qualities of what they're up against today, but that will have given them a flavour of it, because those are guys who are trying to get into the Manchester City first-team squad and on the fringes. Yeah,
they very much are on the fringes, and it was a shame that some of those youngsters couldn't play in the semi-final. It really was. But I thought in that semi-final at Wembley, I thought City did okay.
Yeah.
But they always had more. I think Sheffield United, they were defending well, but they never really had a true out ball. Like Njai was doing pretty well, but have they replaced him? To lose Berg as well. Because it's all well and good, say, seeing teams that'll sit back and they'll defend well, they'll try and get set pieces. But then you look at West Ham yesterday, they've got Antonio, they've got Ben Rama, they've got Bowen, those are three people that will always have the opposition thinking about you defensively. You know what I mean? We can't overcommit because this might hit us. And I think if Sheffield United can have that, then they're with a chance today, because I can't see them outplaying City whatsoever.
No. Aaron, in terms of, from the Sheffield United point of view, they are up against it. That's exactly what we're saying. Can these be... Are these fun games to play in, or are they no fun at all if you know you're going to get a bit of a chasing?
No fun at all. I played in a few at Burnley, similar games like this, and we stayed in it. I think one game we even got to half-time, and I think we still lost 5-0. But no, they're tough games. Like I said, if you get half a chance, you have to take it.
Yeah.
Like Steve said, there may be a set piece. Like I said, if you get any opportunity in this game, they have to take it. They have to make it ugly. and try and stay in the game as long as possible. But it's a tough task today.
I would say it's results driven, because like West Ham yesterday, when they at half-time had like 15% possession, if it was like 2-0 down, they'd be saying this is the worst day we've ever had. You know what I mean? And that's just literally just converting chances.
Nedum's getting that balance right.
It literally is.
Because you get the victory, then it's a masterclass from Moyes.
Exactly,
If they were 2-0 down at half time and the way they've played is not good enough, it's not the West Ham way. It's funny listening to Aaron there. We've heard for Spurs for years, haven't we? It's the Spurs way, isn't it? You know, they want to see attacking football. Yes, it's okay, they want to see attacking football, but you have to still win a game to make sure you get over the line.
Paul Heckingbottom has said ahead of this one, Steve, that Sheffield United need to be fearless and aggressive.
Well, even then, it's difficult to be really aggressive these days. Back in our day, the pitches were okay. Now at this time of year, you could have a little kick at one or two. You know, it's not possible, and so the pitches are excellent. Everything's geared for the good team to be very, very good. But you have to make it ugly. How do we get against them? Can we physically be aggressive against them in certain areas?
Steve, it's been absolutely brilliant to have you on the show today and hear from you on 5 Live Sport. I've not even asked the sort of key question in terms of getting back in. Do you want to? Well,
it's the first time I said in a lots of years that I haven't been involved. I'm open. I probably was a bit early thinking that's me retired. I've missed it that much. If the right offer came along or whatever, then I'm not probably going to say no.
Okay, you heard it here first. Steve Bruce, thank you very much indeed. Aaron Lennon, thank you again for your company. Look forward to having you on the show again this season. Nedum, as ever, and of course Football Daily podcast tomorrow morning. You'll be there.
Credit to you, ABB. It's not bad.
Well,
you've done all right.
You've held my hand all the way, Nedum, so thank you very much.
Gone that far.
Indeed, we are going to take you to Bramall Lane. Thank you to Steve Bruce, Aaron Lennon and Nedum Manua. On air through until 6:30 tonight. 2 Premier League commentaries for you today. Newcastle, Liverpool at 4:30. But I'll hand you now to the former England goalkeeper Paul Robinson and Ian Dennis for full commentary of Sheffield United against Manchester City.
Thanks, Ali. Well, it's a gorgeous afternoon in South Yorkshire where the sun is shining and the two teams have just taken to the field to a raucous welcome from inside a ground that I would imagine will be close to capacity of around 32,000 inside Bramall Lane this afternoon. The first of 2 Premier League commentaries, Newcastle United, Liverpool, a raucous reception always guaranteed at St James's Park. That's at 4:30 with John Murray and Pat Nevin. But here it's Sheffield United who've got the arduous task of trying to stop the treble winners, the European champions, last season's Premier League champions Manchester City, from becoming just the only side in the early stages of this campaign from making it 3 wins out of 3 for a Sheffield United side that needs to get some points on the board. So a reminder of the two teams. The one change that Sheffield United have made from their defeat at Forest is Baldock coming in for Lowe. He had a calf injury against Crystal Palace, so Baldock missed the Forest game as a result. So Foderingham in goal, and then it's a back 3 of Robinson, Ahmed Hodzic, Egan, Baldock, Norwood, Sousa and Osborne, Harmer, Osula and Traore. And for Manchester City, from the side that beat Newcastle United, 2 changes. Ake for Akanji, Bernardo Silva for Foden, who was absolutely terrific at that game against Newcastle at the Etihad. And Doku, their new signing, is on the bench after signing for £55 million. So Edison in goal, Walker, Diaz, Gvardiol and Ake, Bernardo Silva, Rodri and Kovacic, Alvarez, Haaland and Jack Grealish. Let's get news of Watford Blackburn Rovers in the Championship. Flo Pollock.
Full-time Watford 0, Blackburn 1. Watford frustrated at home. They had chances, hitting the woodwork twice but couldn't convert. Blackburn's goal, a quality individual effort from Ryan Hedges. Full-time Watford 0, Blackburn 1.
Well, if you were watching on 5 Live Sports social media channels, you'd have seen that myself and Paul Robinson did a little preview and we talked about the difficulty facing Paul Heckingbottom's side. We were talking off air. You said they've got to just try and disrupt the game. Steve Bruce said something very similar, make life as uncomfortable as they can. But it's going to be such a hard task for them.
Of course it is. It's a huge game for them. But this is why they came to the Premier League. This is the games that the fans want to see. You know, you say it's going to be tough for them, it's going to be hard for them, but they have to find a way in this league. It's going to be difficult for them every week. We've seen that already. They've lost the first 2 games, and now they've got the European champions at home. You put them 11 players against 11 players and you try and play Manchester City at their own game, it's not going to work. Manchester City will find holes and they'll beat you because they are a better team. I've played in inferior teams. You try and find a way. You knock it longer. You get amongst them. And like what Steve said in the studio there, it's very difficult now with the physical element of the game because of the way the games are refereed with the VAR. You can't put yourself about as much as you used to. So that's an element that the lesser sides don't have. But they have to take advantage of set plays. Don't be embarrassed to put the ball in the box from distance. But like we said, Manchester City have now strengthened the defenders. You look at the defence that they've got. They're used to playing against teams who try and disrupt them.
That's the voice of Paul Robinson, and this is the Sheffield United anthem and his song. A greasy chip butty as we're underway. Sheffield United fans in full voice, red and white striped shirts, black shorts, playing from right to left. Manchester City are attacking the Kop end here at Bramall Lane in their sky blue shirts and white shorts. And in fact, it's not just, if you look at the history of these 2 meetings in the Premier League, it's not just recently that they've struggled. They've not scored actually in their last 8 Premier League games. In fact, Brian Deane is the only Premier League goal scorer against Manchester City, and that was 20 years ago, April 1993. So they've got to just try and stay in the game for as long as they can for a Manchester City side, knowing that if they win, they'll go above Arsenal, Spurs and West Ham United with a 2-point clear in the early stages of the Premier League season. Gvardiol forward over on the left. He looks like he's slotted in at left back with Ake alongside Ruben Dias. Kyle Walker against his former side. Pep Guardiola, remember, not here. If you were unaware, had a minor back surgery during the week. He'll miss this game and also Fulham next weekend, but he is due back after the international break. So Juan Malillo is his assistant who is in charge, the 57-year-old Spaniard down below, as Paul Heckingbottom has already taken up a position right on the edge of his technical area, all in black and already deep in thought, as his side are just trying to, well, they're going to do a lot of chasing. Manchester City are going to see a lot of the ball. I don't think that will come as a surprise to anybody, as Rodri to Walker on this near side. So just going to have to try and keep their shape, really.
That's a harsh stat up the order there, Deno, on Sheffield United. They've 1 goal in 10 games or something. They have been separated by a few divisions for a few years.
That is true. That is true. And that's why it's only the 8 Premier League games. But I was looking back, and in fact I spoke to, and you know him well, Michael Brown. The last league win was in Division 1 in 2000, and Michael Brown got the winning goal. Of course, he played for both clubs. He's here today. Michael Brown, he was aware of that stat as well. There was a wry smile when I brought it up in conversation.
I'm sure that's why he's here today, telling all the media and the TV cameras that was his goal.
Here is Grealish, that was mentioned too. Grealish, left-hand side of the penalty area. The boos for Grealish as he stumbles over the ball, and it runs behind and out for a goal kick. The thing is, though, for Sheffield United, if they are to stay up and survive in the Premier League, regardless of the opposition, their home form is going to be absolutely critical.
Absolutely. You're in the Premier League for a reason, and I quite often say it that these aren't season-defining games. If they lose to Manchester City twice this season, it's not going to relegate them. It's the loss to Crystal Palace here. It's the loss away at Nottingham Forest, not picking up points where they need to. So games here at Bramall Lane that they can make into a fortress. We know that the fans here are excellent. They have to try and pick up points here.
Well, 51 points in the Championship last season at home. It was the second best record. Only Burnley had a better record, so it certainly was a tough place to come in the Championship. But there is obviously that step up in quality in opposition, and that is certainly highlighted when you look at the quality of Manchester City as they go back to Edison in a pale, luminous goalkeeping outfit, and he's hooked that. He was looking towards Kyle Walker, who was getting forward, the Manchester City captain, on this right-hand side. It went high over his head. Although there is a bit of a in defence of the City keeper, there is a bit of a breeze inside Bramall Lane.
Are you defending goalkeepers, Deno?
Well, I thought I'd just maybe try and become an associate member of the Goalkeepers Union.
But you see Manchester City doing that a lot now. That's something that they've brought into their game, in their system, because teams try and stop them playing out. And Edison, he is like a quarterback. So you'll see Kyle Walker, you'll see Gvardiol pushing on, and the goalkeeper will look for those long direct balls to the fullbacks.
Was it wind assisted or was it just a poor clearance?
It was just a poor clearance.
He's just lost his membership to the Goalkeepers Union. Gvardiol far side, 0-0 in the early stages. We're in the 5th minute. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live. Ake, one of 2 changes made by Manchester City, at a walking pace. No pressure on Ake. Strokes it out to Gvardiol, the Croatian international. High up the pitch, midway through the Sheffield United half. Now Alvarez left it for Haaland, but Haaland had already spun away then. But then he does help win it back to Bernardo Silva. Now out towards Walker. Walker, right corner of the penalty area. Rodri goes square. Kovacic takes it on. Kovacic is challenged. Osborne breaks it up. And then when they try and get the ball forward towards William Osula, he couldn't hold on to it. Now Bernardo Silva is into the penalty area. Bernardo Silva twisting and turning, tries to get a right-footed shot. That was blocked well by Osborne, the left wing back. Walker with a delivery, and then kneed away by Norwood. Comes towards Osborne, lets it settle, and then he clears it long. William Osula, he's a 20-year-old forward. He's Danish. He was on loan at Derby. So if you're a fan of a League One club, you might have seen him last season. 5 goals in 21 appearances. He's quite tall and lean. But they've got 2 young lads up front, Benny Traore and William Osula. And they are going to probably try and do a lot of chasing, but that went over his head, and as a result he's going to come straight back. Well, out of possession, Traore is the one that's dropped it into a midfield 5 almost. They've got a back 5 there, and then the two defending holding midfielders, and immediately Sheffield United lose possession. They look very organised, but they sit very deep. They're trying to put a low block on. They're actually sacrificing possession. They're allowing Manchester City have very comfortable possession in front of them. It's up to City to move the ball quick, like we see them do it, pick holes, pull people out of positions and find spaces. Kovacic, forward ball. Alvarez lays it off, and it's with Ake into the centre circle to come forward in the sunshine here at Bramall Lane. Gvardiol's on the halfway line. They're playing it across the halfway line now towards Diaz. So Walker's pushed up into midfield. It's effectively like a back 3 with Gvardiol, Ake and Diaz, because Walker's so high on this near side. Well, they're only having to deal with Osula, isn't he? He's the one that breaks out of the Sheffield United defence when they get possession, and they try and find him. So it's comfortable at the moment for the Manchester City defenders. Ake sitting there in the middle of the park with Diaz one side of him and Walker the other. So the possession stats are going to be extremely high today for Manchester City. Alvarez being tracked by Norwood. He wriggles away. He's got support from Bernardo Silva. Tried to thread it through. Not just, of course, the only 2 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League today, as Bernardo Silva on the edge of the penalty area looks towards Haaland. Haaland's header flicks it up and over, because they're also underway at Turf Moor. Burnley, Aston Villa, Masfaruqi.
And there's just been a goal. Villa have just scored as you've come to me, Ian. It was Matty Cash who tapped it in on the far side. Great cross at a really tight angle from Ollie Watkins. Villa have started this game really well, and they are ahead. Burnley 0, Villa 1.
Well, that was good timing. Got to say, I was at Villa Park last Sunday, and they were very, very impressive against Everton. I like Villa. I like what they did last year. I think the manager's very underrated. I think there's maybe an element of his media presence isn't quite Jurgen Klopp, isn't quite Pep Guardiola, but his work on the training ground, the ability that he's got with his players and what they've done with his team. I like them in the European competition this year. I think they've got a real opportunity to win that trophy. Yeah, well, they had a convincing victory against Hibs in the first leg. It'll be a mere formality, the return at Villa Park, and then of course later this week it's the draws for the Champions League and the Europa League and the Europa Conference League. You'll be getting your passport and suitcase ready again, Dano? Not just the flip-flops there, I don't think. Blimey. Takes me back to the days when I was watching you in the Champions League. Oh, that was a long time ago. Yeah. Good days. Very good days. As the ball goes forward, and that was Foderingham for Sheffield United. And Grealish running back, and now it's with Ake. Ruben Diaz forward, but it's been a patient start by Manchester City.
It has very patient, ball rotation, keeping possession. Sheffield United have been organised and hard to break down. Paul Heckingbottom won't be disappointed with the way that his side have started. He's kept Manchester City in front of his defence and no real clear-cut opportunities, and when they do give him the ball like now, they try and spring.
And Traore is leading the counter-attack, and he's got Harmer up with him, but the pass towards Harmer was intercepted. But now they will try and press. They'll be a little bit braver there, but Manchester City beat that press comfortably, and now the red and white shirts have got to get back because Bernardo Silva was coming forward. Let's get an update with the Dutch Grand Prix. Harry Benjamin.
Light contact there.
There is absolute chaos at the start of the Dutch Grand Prix at the moment. Just getting views of the start, which very much started off dry, but as soon as lights out, the rain came down, and first into the pits was Sergio Perez at the end of lap 1 on the intermediate tyre, and he now leads this race on home soil. The Dutchman Max Verstappen started on pole, stayed out a little longer, came in eventually for the intermediates and has worked his way back up to 4th. Lewis Hamilton stayed out longer, is now plumb last, having finally moved on to the wet combat tyre, but it's all changed at the moment here in Zandvoort.
Commentary of that continues on Sports Extra, and of course all the reaction to that Dutch Grand Prix you can listen to the Checkered Flag podcast that is available on BBC Sounds. It remains 0-0 at Bramall Lane. Grealish far side the left to Rodri, curls the ball in towards the penalty area. Osborne's tucked in, the left wing back to head the ball away from that penalty area. Comes out to Ruben Dias, it's a curling ball, flying header out by Egan. Alvarez was poised behind him, wasn't he, with his right foot ready to hit the ball on the volley.
Yeah, you can just see City. That's the first time they've gone down that left-hand side. The majority of the players been down this near side, down the right-hand side, with Bernardo Silva and Kyle Walker involved in a lot of everything they do. That time it was Jack Grealish, ran at the full-back, got the ball into the box, and it was dangerous.
Here is Ake in the centre circle. He finds Alvarez. Alvarez has Vini Sousa looking to close him down, the Brazilian midfielder. One of the new acquisitions here at Sheffield United, as Kovacic back then with Diaz. Ake, again no pressure on the ball. They're quite happy for City to have the ball at that stage. 84% in terms of the possession so far. Alvarez makes the run right hand side of the penalty area, now clips over the cross. Haaland with a header, couldn't generate the power. Easy save,
but there Haaland finds himself in a bit of space in the 6-yard box, something Sheffield United will be looking to avoid with his goal scoring record, but that's the first time they've got in behind him. Just Bernardo Silva down this side, I think it's Alvarez, clips it into Haaland, and he gets a free header, but the ball's just behind him. He just can't generate any power on it.
You were actually at Turf Moor, weren't you, for the opening game?
Yes, I was, with Lee Blakeman. It took Haaland all of 3 minutes in the new season.
Yeah, and you know that when he gets the opportunities, he'll normally bury them. Such a terrific campaign that he had last season, as Traore was away on that far side, the right, and in front of the Bramall Lane end of the ground here, in that bottom tier, which is full of sky blue shirts, those that have travelled over from the Pennines. Manchester City have already taken the goal kick, and Kovacic runs forward now towards Grealish. We've been playing for 12 minutes, 0-0. Grealish comes in field. This is Rodri. Kovacic hits it forward. Haaland makes the run, and then he's quite happy just to shield the ball away from Egan and take the corner kick.
And you know, that night at Burnley, the first game of the season, we talked about Haaland. All the talk was, can he do it again? Will he score more? And you actually think about the amount of times that Pep Guardiola took him off at half-time last season when he'd already scored 2. He was denied 2 or 3 hat-tricks last season. So if he does get the figures he had last year and he plays the same amount of games, there's every chance in this side he could do it again.
Yeah, in 6 hat-tricks he still managed to score. Corner kick to Manchester City. Swung over from the left. Haaland tries to meet it. Still hasn't been dealt with. Comes towards Harmer. Rides up his chest. He volleys the ball away. A round of applause from the Sheffield United supporters. They last met, of course, in the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley when City ran out 3-0 winners, as that was a heavy cross from Rodri. Really did club that right-footed, and it went sailing over and wide and out for a goal kick. 0-0.
Yeah, it was a bit scrappy there. Manchester City corner, bobbling about in the 6-yard box, and this is a common theme that's going to run through the game today. Sheffield United managed to get the ball clear, get the ball downfield, but there was nobody there. They had all 11 players inside their box defending. They get possession and they're hitting hopeful balls downfield to nobody, and then trying to get up the field.
Osborne looks for the run of Traore down the sides on this near side, the left. Ruben Dias goes with him, and the referee, who is Jared Gillett, The Sheffield United fans were hopeful that it was going to be a corner, but he says it's a goal kick instead. I mean, the thing is, I mean, you pointed out that it was 84% in terms of possession. So when you're dealing with that 16%, it's then just trying to retain the ball for as long as possible.
Yeah, enjoy the football when you get it. You know, so many managers tell you that, keep possession as long as you can. It's very difficult against Manchester City. Listen, I don't know from experience, but I know from playing in teams, players don't like chasing footballs. You much prefer, you play football to have the football. If you're going to spend 90, 95 minutes running around a pitch, chasing players that you know are better than you, it's a long afternoon.
That's the voice of Paul Robinson, the former England international goalkeeper, who's with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live. And still it remains goalless as Ake out to Guardiola. He's got Alvarez. Haaland's now made the run. It was a sliding challenge and cut out well by John Egan. Mind you, he had to make sure it was well timed because Haaland was away otherwise.
Yeah, listen, this is hard work for Sheffield United, really hard work. But if they can stay in the game by doing what they're doing, you never know.
Guardiola goes on a long run. His ball in field clipped the back of the feet of Alvarez, who then has actually got in the way of a crossfield pass from Kyle Walker, and the rebound is into the arms of Foderingham, but Osborne has gone down. So the left wing back, Ben Osborne, for Sheffield United, and has gone down without any real challenge, so that wouldn't necessarily bode well for him.
I think it's his groin. I think it was when he cleared that earlier ball down the wing here for Traore to chase, and when they thought they had a corner, he just opened his left foot up and played the ball down the line. I think that's when it occurred.
Haven't necessarily been blessed with good fortune. They've had a number of injuries in the early stages of the season. Brewster, McBurney, who's actually on the bench today with that foot injury. John Fleck out long term. Slimani hamstring. Baldock's come back from a calf injury. So for Ben Osborne to go down, and we'll just have to see. And at this stage, Paul Heckingbottom and Stuart McCall have taken every opportunity. Plenty of liquid refreshment for an impromptu team talk.
Yeah, and the fourth official is ready in the substitution board, so it doesn't look good for Ben Osborne. You think that might be Larouci that comes on as a natural like-for-like replacement. But for them to lose Ben Osborne, we know his combative skills, we know he's a tough tackler, and he's a leader on the pitch as well. He'll be a really big miss for them.
So Osborne still getting treatment inside the penalty area. Listening to BBC Radio 5 Live at 4:30. We'll be at St James's Park. Newcastle United against Liverpool. That'll be followed by 6:06 08085909693, 693. And then at around 20 to 8 we'll be back to Budapest for the final day of the Athletics World Championships in Hungary, which will include the women's 800-metre final. You're able to hear that with Catherine Merry and Alison Kirbishley. So Osborne's going to be coming off, and it is, you're right, it is going to be Larouci who's going to be coming on. He was relegated with Troyes in France last season. If the game peters out in the second half, remind me to tell you of a funny story with myself and Peter Lorimer from Troyes.
That sounds ominous.
I'm not too sure if you played in that game. It was the UEFA Cup tie.
We've not passed 9 o'clock watershed. Is it safe to go out?
Well, we'll try and leave it as late as possible. The Champagne region of France. But Larouci has come on for Osborne, so forced into a change.
Which is good for Sheffield United. It's a like-for-like replacement. They're not putting square pegs in round holes. Larouci he's a left wing back, so it is a like-for-like change, but his defensive qualities will be tested today against Bernardo Silva and the on-running Kyle Walker.
He began at Liverpool, 2 appearances in the FA Cup. He left Anfield in 2021. So he is on the field of play, as still it remains Sheffield United 0, Manchester City 0. Gvardiol far side to Ake in the central part of that, almost as a back three, because here is Walker on the halfway line, but Walker's hit that very, very heavy. Looking back at Kyle Walker's career, he only made 9 appearances before Spurs signed him in 2009 for Sheffield United, but then he was loaned back to the Bramall Lane club, and he made a further 28. And indeed his last league goal was actually here against the Blades, as Kovacic, a strong surging run. Kovacic eventually goes to ground and gets a direct free kick. I've got to say, Kovacic has looked a different player since moving from Chelsea to Manchester City.
and Havertz as well, to an extent, you know, playing in a different position, and Kovacic does. I mean, he looks like an on-running midfielder, doesn't he? He's powered through, past his marker there, running at the back four. He does, but I mean, listen, you're playing arguably in a better team. You look at where Chelsea were last year. You stand out in a poor team. You look at James Maddison. It's difficult to stand out in a poor team, whereas James Maddison did that. But he looks happy. He looks like he's enjoying his football. They're unfortunate with the injury last week to Kevin De Bruyne, and it's given him his opportunity to start football matches.
Well, it was certainly a good, strong run from Kovacic, and from the free kick, it's over 30 yards out from goal. They're attacking the Kop end, Manchester City. It remains 0-0. Bernardo Silva and Alvarez are the two who stand over it. Alvarez is going to leave it. Bernardo Silva left-footed, chips it in. Rodri with a header on. Ake, close range, flags up. Won't count. Offside. Flag was raised immediately. And they didn't have any time whatsoever to celebrate that goal from Nathan Ake. It was a scruffy close-range finish anyway. But that just goes to show how quick the flag was raised on this near side. Of course, it will be checked, but that is clearly offside.
Yeah, surprisingly, Sheffield United have struggled a couple of times with set plays into the box. We had that scrappy corner that they struggled to clear, and there they made a real mess of it, and Ake found himself in a complete acres of space in the 6-yard box. I think it was Ruben Dias who won the original header, who was offside, and Ake was in acres of space, but Sheffield United's defending of set plays hasn't been convincing thus far.
Let's get an update from Turf Moor. Burnley, Aston Villa. Maz Faruqi.
Second goal for Aston Villa. Second goal of the afternoon for Matty Cash. A lovely team move this. A 1-2 between Cash and Diaby. Edge of the area as he ran into the box. Brilliant football this from Villa. Burnley 0, Villa 2.
Could say he's a cash converter. Kovacic. Back to Ruben Dias. Ake. Right of the centre circle. Gvardiol. Grealish high and wide on that left-hand side. Alvarez now will find the England international. And he plays the ball in field to Kovacic. Alvarez, but once again, Sheffield United, the red and white shirts are back behind the ball. Here now is Ruben Dias. He's 30 yards out from goal. He advances with a couple of more touches, then finds Bernardo Silva. Larousse was quick to close down Kyle Walker, but Walker still delivers the cross. It's an arcing ball in. Away from Jack Grealish, and did he keep the ball in play? No, he didn't. It's a throw.
Listen, Manchester City have all of the possession, all of the dominance in this game. Sheffield United are very, very well organised. They've obviously worked very hard this week on how they're going to stop City. But the thing for me is, what are they going to do to City? They've got no real plan or have the ball. I mean, 15% possession they've had in 20 minutes, which, yes, you are going to expect that against Manchester City. But you don't just sit there as a sitting duck and wait to be beaten. The worrying thing for me from a Sheffield United point of view would be when and if Manchester City score, then what? Do they stick to the same game plan? Because at the moment they're offering nothing apart from defending very deep in their own half. Listen, they're doing it very well. They've clearly got a game plan and they're sticking to task.
Well, they are at the moment, and we're almost midway through the first half, and it remains 0-0. But it's like a training exercise in many ways, because our eyes have just been transfixed away towards our right-hand side. City have had all of the ball. It's defence against attack, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's you work on this in the training grounds during the week. You will put two banks of 5 in one half, and then you will have your attackers and midfielders and say break us down. And City have to be creative. They have to move the ball quick, because at the moment we're sat watching, every single player is in the Sheffield United half bar Edison. And Manchester City have got comfortable possession midway through the half, just passing it in front of two banks of 5, two lines of 5 Sheffield United defenders.
Here is Ruben Dias. Ake, right of the centre circle. Gvardiol passes the ball to Grealish. He's closed down by Baldock on that far side. Grealish will go the long way around. Drops actually inside his own half. Now to Ruben Dias. Bernardo Silva creates an angle for him. Again, he will drop back to the halfway line for Manchester City. But in terms of a spectacle, there really isn't one in that stage. It's just a question of when Manchester City will prize open, or if. Probably right with the first time when you say when. They'll prize open the defence.
Well, we saw teams disrupt Manchester City last year. We saw Brentford go there and get a result. They pressed them high, they put long balls into the box, but Sheffield United haven't done that. They've set up differently. They've set up deep, they've set up with a very low block, and they've allowed Manchester City to have all of the possession, which we're sat here saying it's not a great watch. Manchester City are doing particularly well, but actually Sheffield United are doing very, very well at what they've been set out to do. The managers clearly had a game plan, worked very hard with them during the week, and their game plan is to stop Manchester City, is to thwart Manchester City, is not to be broken down, not to be passed through too easily, and they're doing that at the moment.
Well, a point would certainly be very precious for Sheffield United, given their back-to-back defeats, losing here at home to Crystal Palace and then that defeat away at Nottingham Forest. Bernardo Silva runs forward, Walker on the overlap right-hand side, Larouci is ahead of him, Walker waits, passes the ball then back to Diaz in the sky blue shirts of Manchester City, in the shadows of the main stand. It's with Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva again carries the ball forward, then Walker is behind him. This is Rodri, infield to Kovacic. Kovacic waits, touches the ball back towards Rodri, 25 yards out from goal. Sheffield United still working hard, trying to prevent a way through. Alvarez is now being tracked by Harmer. Alvarez gives it away towards Traore. Traore to Harmer. Norwood back towards Traore, and the home side tried to launch a counter-attack. The little touch from Traore, but unable to get on to the end of that was Sousa, and once again it was fleeting.
Well,
Sheffield United.
2 passes they've had there, Sheffield United. 2 passes, lost possession, normal service resumed.
Grealish, far side the left. Kovacic. Gvardiol forward of the centre circle. Aston Villa 2-0 away at Burnley is a latest score. Bernardo Silva running forward. 12-month extension to 2026 now for Bernardo Silva, as Kovacic quickly finds Grealish on the left corner of the penalty area. Back towards Kovacic. Kovacic looks to try and shoot, closed down very well by Norwood in the penalty area, and then it runs away from Grealish, and the cheers for Sheffield United from Grealish as he puts his hand up to apologise, and it will be a throw to the home side, 0-0.
And they just get a bit of respite. They've had a chance to clear their lines. They've got to throw in midway in their own half. But as you can see, some of the Sheffield United players already bent over on the haunches. It's hard work. They've been chasing Manchester City now for the majority of this first half, and it's difficult when they haven't had the ball.
And the thing is as well, when it comes to the concentration, I was having a conversation recently with Matt Upson, and Matt was saying that, and we were talking really about how Luton Town, of course, one of the other new boys in the Premier League, and when you're chasing a game and you're trying to contain, the first thing that he was saying, it's not the fatigue, it's not the physical fatigue, it's the mental fatigue that will go first.
Yeah, tiring.
And that's when mistakes happen.
It always is, and that's why we see mistakes late on in games. But you've got to give Sheffield United credit for the way that they have set up, because if they were to play open and expansive, we know what Manchester City can do to you. We know they can hurt you.
Ball into Haaland. Haaland tries to get it away, and there was Alvarez, and then Fotheringham with a smothering save touches the ball behind. It was the strength of Haaland that had created the opening. Alvarez was on it, but Fotheringham was equal to it.
Well, it looked for all the world that Alvarez was just going to tap this into an empty net. Haaland holds his defender off really, really well. The ball falls to Alvarez at the far post. The goalkeeper gets stuck in no man's land. He doesn't stay and he doesn't go. He ends up stopping, but he makes a fantastic reaction save with his right hand. He just spreads himself and blocks it with his right hand.
Corner comes in from that far side, the left. Sheffield United get the ball away. Alvarez, nice touch to keep the ball in play level with the penalty area on the left, sends over a cross, and on the stretch was Egan to clear it of play out for a throw.
A really good block by Fotheringham, really good.
It was a strong arm as well, wasn't it?
He got stuck in no man's land. That was one of them decisions where you're either going to go out for the ball or you stay. He kind of went and stopped, but he did the right thing in the end, because he spread and he made a fantastic block with his right hand.
So, keeps it goalless as we edge our way towards the half-hour mark at Bramall Lane. Harry Benjamin has the latest in the Dutch Grand Prix.
From the back of the field pits. Well, it's lap 17 of 72 here in Zandvoort, and we're currently under safety car conditions if this race couldn't get a little bit more chaotic for Logan Sargent, who crashed out. The American rookie Innes Williams found the barriers, but this race started lights out, dry, and by turn one, pouring with rain. Different strategies. Who was coming to go into the pits first of all for an intermediate tyre? That is now
Walker with a
out.
teasing ball in towards the far side, and it goes over and behind. And it goes for a corner kick. What a ball, devilish ball. It's commentary of the Dutch Grand Prix will continue on Sports Extra.
That was a great ball in by Kyle Walker. To describe it, it's one of that ones in the corridor of uncertainty. The goalkeeper can't come, and if the defender touches it, it goes right in the back of the net. It's a fantastic ball, and Jack Grealish just couldn't make contact with it round the far post.
They're starting to knock on the door. 2 good opportunities in the space of 2 or 3 minutes. Corner kick, left-hand side. It's swung over now and it curls all the way over everybody's head. And Egan puts the ball out of play for a throw.
Well, they look really dangerous, Manchester City, when they get in behind the Sheffield United low block. I mean, they are very low, they're sitting very deep. But when they are pulled out of position and the ball slid down the sides to Silva or Walker in behind, that's when Manchester City look at the best.
This is Grealish, 10 yards in from the touchline, left-hand side. The sun has disappeared. Alvarez level the penalty area. Now it's with Kovacic. Rodri opens it up to Ruben Dias. First touch is away from him with his right foot. Now Bernardo Silva clips it back to Dias, who's continued to run into the penalty area. Flag stays down. Wind actually wouldn't let that ball settle for him, but he played it out of the area to Bernardo Silva, trying to get past Sousa, and he wriggles free, and he was pulled back there by the Brazilian. That gives away a free kick. Just too tricky for him.
Oh, it was brilliant footwork by Bernardo Silva. And what you said about him signing his contract, it's not just that on the pitch that he gives Pep Guardiola, it's his leadership qualities, it's his leadership in the dressing room. We know he's lost Gundogan, who he quite openly said was his manager on the pitch last year, was his coach in the dressing room. He's lost Mahrez as well, and to lose Silva in the same transfer window, I think it would have been a real blow. I think it's a very, very astute signing for him.
Yeah, Guardiola was at a pains about that around the Community Shield, with all the talk of him leaving and Kyle Walker to Bayern. He made it clear he didn't want to lose those 2 players, as Bernardo Silva now with that deal till 2026. 3 in the wall for Sheffield United. About 25 yards out from goal, it's right of centre. They're attacking the Kop end. It remains 0-0. We have 14 minutes to go to half-time. Alvarez with his left arm aloft, and it will be Alvarez to take it. Right-footed, goes for goal. It was dipping, but it never really troubled Foderingham over the crossbar goal kick.
I think it was too far out there. I'm surprised that he actually took the shot on from that distance. They've had a little bit of success with set plays and balls in behind the Sheffield United defence, and I just think he was too far out there, Alvarez. He's trying to do too much with the ball.
Well, they're going to try and beat the press as they play the goal kick short, and have done exceptionally well actually with that. Traore now to Harmer, looks towards Asula, blocked by the body of Ake. That was the first time, or one of, that's a first time, maybe a second time, a rare occasion for Sheffield United to try and hit City on the counter-attack. They've had to contain and soak up so much of the ball. Not too sure if those possession stats on your phone have changed. What was it, 84%?
They've changed. It's now 86.
Well, if it was going to change, it was only going to go in one direction, I guess.
It really has been so one-sided. I know we've played Manchester City up about their possession, about how deep Sheffield United are, but I can't emphasise the amount of possession that Manchester City are actually having. It's almost like you want to put another ball on so Sheffield United can play.
Yeah. Larouci in the air, heads it away, preventing it from reaching Kyle Walker. Walker level with the penalty area. It is actually interesting that the last 4 Premier League games here, Manchester City have only won by a 1-0 scoreline, as Gvardiol, central area of the field, midway through the Sheffield United half. Kovacic, Rodri takes it away from Sousa, finds Alvarez, tries to feed it into the penalty box. Egan volleys it away first time. Bouncing ball is headed forward by Diaz, lifted on then to Bernardo Silva by Walker, kept in play. Appeals for handball from Bernardo Silva, and it won't go out of play. Robinson is going to let it run instead out for a goal kick, and he marshalled it out well.
Did very well, the defender there. But this is also a test of Manchester City's concentration as well, because at times if they think it's too easy and they switch off at the back and they leave themselves too exposed, with the pace of Traore, with the pace of Asula, they've got the opportunities that they can hit them on the counter-attack. And if City were to concede, listen, we've said Sheffield United are deep, we've said they're defending well, they've defended excellently well. If they were to go a goal up in this game, now that would put a whole different tilt on it.
Certainly would. Okay, looking for a push there on Asula. Both Paul Heckingbottom and Stuart McCall complaining to the referee Jared Gillett. Instead he'll give a throw. Sheffield United fans are up and out of their seats in the main stand that we're sitting in here at Bramall Lane on BBC Radio 5 Live and also on BBC Sounds. Newcastle Liverpool to come at 4:30. Ahmed Hodzic forward. Harmer out towards Baldock on the right hand side. First time he's got forward. Of course, they first came into the Premier League when Chris Wilder was the manager back then. Bernardo Silva almost caught in possession from Sousa on the edge of his own penalty area.
There's that concentration.
Yeah, but you'd often see Baldock flying away on that right-hand side. The overlapping centre-backs are of course a key feature of Sheffield United when they're in the Premier League under Chris Wilder, as we have 11 minutes to go to half-time, and it's still 0-0. But here is Bernardo Silva collecting a diagonal ball along the ground from Rodri, out towards Walker. Sky blue shirt rippling in the breeze in the shadows of the main stand. Now Bernardo Silva, he waits. Good vocal support from the home fans.
Well, they just got a little bit of joy there, Sheffield United, didn't they? They've not given Manchester City too much respect, but they've realised that they can press them, they can win the ball back higher up, and with Baldock down the wing, they can hurt them.
Well, here is Grealish, edge of the area. Grealish looks to Alvarez. Alvarez, the angle is tight. They're appealing for a handball. Referee has a look and gives a penalty. It was John Egan who was sliding in, but straight away the City players went for handball. Jared Gillett would have had a look at it. VAR will have a check. John Egan protests.
Ian, that's so unlucky, but the referee's not going to overturn that. I'd be very surprised if he did. It's one of those that we see, the ball's running out of play. Alvarez has gone to the byline. He's going to cut it back to Haaland. Egan's he slid across him to stop the cross. Alvarez has been very clever, but in sliding across, Egan's left his trailing hand out and it stopped the ball going to Haaland. There's no way this is going to be overturned. This is a penalty.
The thing is that, and I know it's nothing to do with it now, but that isn't a deliberate handball, and also you could argue the close proximity maybe of Egan to the attempted cross from Alvarez.
It was, but his body was, they'll say, out of the shape, yes, or whatever it was, behind him, and it actually hit his hand on the way to Haaland, who in all fairness was behind him and had a tap-in.
Well, the VAR is Simon Hooper, but the ball is placed on the spot by Haaland. Sheffield United supporters in that end aren't happy with this award, but Haaland now with the penalty.
He's due a goal, isn't he?
He waits, hands on hips. His record is 8 from 9 for Manchester City from the spot. The boos from the Sheffield United supporters. Haaland with this spot kick in front of the Kop. Haaland runs up now, left-footed, hits the post. Left-footed, hits the base of the right-hand post. The Sheffield United fan celebrates, and it's a rare miss from the spot from Haaland in the sky blue of Manchester City.
Well, he thought he'd scored. He sent the goalkeeper the wrong way. He did everything right, but he just drags it too far. Goalkeeper goes to the right-hand side. Haaland drags it to his left. All the goal to aim at. Very unluckily hits the bottom inside of the post. Almost comes back, hits the goalkeeper and goes in. Haaland can't believe he's not scored.
Foderingham, as Paul Robinson says, had dived the other way. He dived to his right, and Haaland just pulled it. And listen to the response of the Sheffield United crowd as it remains 0-0. You'd have put good money on Haaland scoring from that range, wouldn't you?
Well, that's two they've missed this season, isn't it? There was the awful penalty at Burnley on the first day of the season, and they missed again.
So it remains 0-0 with 8 minutes to go to half-time.
You'd have backed him though, wouldn't you? You'd say he would have done. I mean, he's obviously not scored for a week or so, but you see him now. You see his running style. He's looking to get in behind. He's looking aggressive. I think he's not happy.
No, you just wonder if there's the most optimistic of Sheffield United fans thinking, could this be our day? Could it? Well, I mean, in today's game, you could see why the penalty was given, but it was not deliberate. You could argue close proximity, but the Sheffield United fans vented their anger at the award. But then, of course, squandered by Haaland, and it remains 0-0 to the delight of the home support here in South Yorkshire. Here is Kovacic. Blocked by Sousa, comes back towards Sousa, quickly crowded by the sky blue shirts, and then it's hit long by Norwood, and that long ball towards Asula has support from Traore. Ake gets it away, stabbed forward now by Sousa, goes to ground far too easily. He was looking for that, but again it will just anger the Sheffield United, the irate home support even more from the referee Jared Gillett.
Yeah, there's a little bit of belief come around Bramall Lane all of a sudden. You know, they had a couple of pieces of joy where Bernardo Silva gave the ball away. Baldock making a good run down the right-hand side, and the missed penalty. There's maybe a little bit more belief creeping into the red and whites.
Let's get an update from Turf Moor, Maz Faruqi.
Villa's so comfortable, all the noise coming from that packed away section at the moment. Burnley seem plenty of the ball, they just can't find a way through this very organised Villa setup when they don't have possession. Those two Matty cashed goals, the difference at the moment, still Burnley 0, Villa 2.
Bernardo Silva runs forward, out to the right for Kyle Walker. He was closed down by Larouci. Larouci now will try and break for Sheffield United, collects the ball, but Walker is already back goal side midway through the Sheffield United half. Larouci looks towards Asula, who just can't bring that ball under control, and as he tumbles over it goes out of play for a throw. But the Sheffield United supporters are at least appreciating the endeavour.
Yeah, listen, they didn't come here expecting to win this game 2 or 3-0. They didn't come here expecting to see open, expansive football against the European champions. They want to see their team work for the shirt, stick to a game plan and upset Manchester City, and that's what they've done.
We have 5 minutes to go to half-time. Paul Robinson is with us here at Bramall Lane. Manchester City in their sky blue shirts and white shorts on that far side they left as they play from left to right with Guardiola, the Croatian international. Now with Ake left of the centre circle. Every player in the red and white shirts back behind the ball. Kovacic, Haaland coming a little bit deeper. Maybe that's a sign of his frustration as Norwood now hits a ball early and Traore's got round the back of Guardiola, but it's 1 against 3. Traore waits for the support. Traore enters the penalty area, pushes the ball on the outside, clips over the cross, and Walker chests the ball back to Edison, who's been a mere spectator in this game.
He has, he's only used his feet in the game. I think that's the first time he's used his hands. But Traore there shows the threat that Sheffield United have got on the break. Little bit of pace, gets in behind Guardiola, stands the ball up in the box, and City do well to defend it.
They had a lot of joy against Nottingham Forest by playing the ball long and direct and early. And here with Manchester City, the fact that Walker's so high up, to play the ball out in the flanks and hit long.
Well, that's the areas when they have had limited possession that they've had, is where they've had joy. You know, they put the ball in over the top for Traore, put the ball down the sides into those spaces that you say when Walker drops into that hybrid midfield role that we've become accustomed to.
Rodri, Gvardiol, far side the left over the halfway line, back to Ake. One of the two changes, he came in for Akanji today. The other change was Bernardo Silva for Phil Foden. Kovacic on the halfway line, challenged by Osula. Palmer now to this near side to Ruben Dias. You mentioned that they're growing in belief. Larouci was quick to close down Kyle Walker, and as a result they're sort of like advancing a little bit, maybe 10 yards further down the field.
They're growing into the game a lot more. They're snapping at Manchester City higher up the field. They're not allowing them so much control possession in their own half. They're pushing higher and they're trying to win duels higher up the field. They're realising that maybe this team aren't untouchable.
The danger of that, of course, is that you give more room for City to get balls in behind. But 3 minutes to go to the break. It remains 0-0 here on BBC Radio 5 Live, part of 5 Live's Premier League Sunday, and we'll be at St James's Park a little later on. Here is Rodri. Rodri shoots and hits it low and firm, but Foderingham well positioned. Comfortable save for the Sheffield United goalkeeper.
Yeah, very easy save for him. Rodri again, you know, from distance, Sheffield United will be delighted if they're keeping Manchester City at a bay like that. You know, attempts on target from 25-30 yards because the defence is there, the back five set in front of him, can't get through, can't break them down, can't get in behind. Paul Heckingbottom, you know, stating the obvious, if they get in the next 3 or 4 minutes into half-time with it 0-0, he'll be absolutely delighted with what his team have given him in this first half.
Yeah, he certainly will. And we'll find out how much added on time there will be very, very soon. We'd think probably 4-5 minutes as Foderingham out of his area. In the light green goalkeeping outfit, Egan sweeps the long ball downfield. Baldock's onto that, the right wing back, support now with Norwood. Baldock, the Greek international, infield now to Traore. That was a loose ball that actually Sousa did well just to quickly hit it into the back of Alvarez, who's actually just feeling his hamstring now on his right leg. Alvarez, ball goes out of play for a throw.
So much better from Sheffield United. Just those long direct balls over the top. Baldock just stretching the pitch, getting the ball forward, getting in Manchester City's half.
Baldock looks to go on the outside of Grealish. Again, no foul. dropping to the floor too easily. Grealish just stood firm, and Manchester City can bring the ball away. About to enter the last 60 seconds of normal time in this first half at Bramall Lane. Maybe if it stays as tight as this, I won't have time to tell you that story about Troyes. After all, we'll have to keep it to off air. Here is Bernardo Silva. Cut out by Robinson. Asula able to turn. Traore going on ahead of him. Asula now towards Traore, running in between Diaz and Ake, but that was coolly done by Ruben Diaz, and sliding into the challenge was Harmer. Walker nicked it away. Rodri, Manchester City now quickly into the centre circle. Alvarez, Sheffield United players trying to get back. Alvarez out to his left, finds Grealish. Grealish in the penalty area, looks for a shooting opportunity. He's held up at the minute by Baldock. He goes on the outside, he sends over the cross, and Fotheringham says, it's mine.
Well, that's exactly what you said, Ian. Sheffield United pushing up the pitch, looking to press the ball higher up in the Manchester City half. They've committed bodies forward, they've committed 3 or 4 players forward, and within 3 passes Jack Grealish was at the byline.
I didn't want to say anything before, but I thought somebody had tapped me on my shoulder, and I looked around and there was nobody there, and then something else has just hit me on my head, and I thought, what's happening? Anyway, the aforementioned Michael Brown is set behind me, and he's now throwing objects at the 5 Live commentary team.
And looking at your desk, the half-chewed wine gums.
And earlier on you used the analogy about the when Pep Guardiola, who's not here, and it's when the supply teacher is and people misbehave. That would be Michael Brown, wouldn't it? Here is Haaland, who's missed a penalty in this first half. Kovacic finds Grealish. Grealish in the penalty box. Out of the box he goes now to Rodri. Goes with a square pass. Kyle Walker thought about the shot. Instead to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva works it in. Grealish is there. Haaland looks for a penalty. There was a real tangle of bodies inside the 6-yard area. And there's a Sheffield United player who is down, and it might be a head injury, and that's why Jared Gillett has actually stopped play.
Well, it was brilliant interesting play by the real side by Bernardo Silva and Kyle Walker. Bernardo Silva ends up dinks the ball into the box, and Ahmed Hodzic and Egan just collide with Haaland. Haaland's got no reason to go down. The ball's just lifted into the centre of the 6-yard box, and the 2 centre halves are battling, fighting with Haaland, and he goes over. There's no reason for him to go down, and he's looking for a penalty, and that's the second time in this game that he's done that. They're going to have to be very careful at the back, Sheffield United, because as we know, VAR is watching all of the time.
Yeah, it was a wrestling contest. Was it Ahmed Hodzic who might well have just had the little push? I mean, in the end there was 3 Sheffield United players who collided over Haaland. 4 minutes of additional time which we're already into. It remains 0-0. There's been a few talking points for Alistair Bruce Ball to get into at half time. 0-0 though. Haaland certainly wasn't happy though, was he?
He's not. Ever since the penalty miss, he's not happy. He's looking for a couple of penalties. His body language would suggest that he's unhappy at the moment.
Here is Walker level the area right hand side. Rodri sends over the cross. Tucked in is Baldock to head the ball away. Guardiola directs his header to Grealish. Controls the ball. Comes on the inside. Grealish looking for that shooting opportunity but can't get a sight of goal. So outside the D he passes the ball towards Walker. Feeds it right hand side of the area to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva up against Robinson and Larouci. Plays it back. Diaz clips it in first time. And there again was Haaland being well marshalled. Alvarez, his shot, strikes Ahmed Hodzic. And in fact there was just a little bit afters there between Haaland and the Bosnian defender. There was a little tap on the shoulder of Haaland on the Bosnian player, and then Ahmed Hodzic then just pushed Haaland, and maybe that's why referee Jared Gillett is calling the 2 players towards him.
Well, this is going to be one to watch, because the 3 centre-halves of Sheffield United, they've got the making of Haaland at the moment. He's not happy. They've upset him, they've ruffled his feathers. He's missed the penalty. I'm sure that's been mentioned in his ear a couple of times. They've hauled him to the ground. There's a bit of nipping and pulling, and he's not happy at the moment, Haaland. He's going to have to be careful, because in those situations you can quite easily lash out, raise your hands, push somebody away, and he could be the one that ends up getting in trouble.
Well, still they're pushing and shoving each other at the moment, and the referee waits for the corner kick to be taken. In it comes now from Alvarez, right hand side. It's a low one, and it's stabbed behind by Norwood, reared up quite a lot. And again Haaland goes towards the referee to voice his displeasure. Referee Jared Gillett has spotted something else now, whether Ake's spoken out of turn. He's having a word with Ake and another Sheffield United player. That might be Robinson. Alvarez, who didn't really find much elevation off that corner kick, does so on this occasion. It's an outswinger. Diaz beaten in the air. Traore on the edge of his own penalty area for Sheffield United. Is there an outball? Asula is away on that far side, but Asula is stopped by Ruben Diaz, and picking up the loose ball is Kovacic. Now towards Grealish. Grealish, we've been playing now, and that's going to be a rather crude challenge, and it will be a yellow card that is shown to Baldock. And the 4 minutes of added on time are now up, and Baldock has got the first yellow card of the game.
Oh, he's lucky as well. That's a tough challenge on Grealish. Grealish just comes in from the touchline. Baldock completely mistimes the challenge, catches Grealish, but it's getting a bit niggly out there, isn't it? Sheffield United, they're getting amongst this Manchester City side. A bit of belief's coming into them, and Manchester City players are not liking it.
But like you'd said, and that Steve Bruce was saying earlier on 5 Live, makes it uncomfortable. Gets the crowd on the back, gets the crowd fired up. A little bit of niggle in the game, a little bit feisty in the closing stages. So this will be the last play of the action, I'm sure. We're in the 5th minute now of what was a minimum of 4 at Bramall Lane. It remains 0-0. Free kick to Manchester City midway through the Sheffield United half. Alvarez to take it, right-footed ball in. Norwood's header goes away, and that should be cleared. The referee has a little look at his watch, and there is indeed the half-time whistle, and Paul Heckingbottom and his players get a standing ovation from the Sheffield United fans inside Bramall Lane. 0-0. Haaland missing a penalty. Paul Robinson.
Well, they've worked ever so hard of Sheffield United. It's not been pretty on the eye at times. It's not been the purest of football, but they've done a job. They've had a game plan. They've stayed in the game, and they've grown with belief into this game. Manchester City have to move the ball quicker. They've got to find spaces. They've had all the possession. They've had all the chances, but Sheffield United have worked hard.
And the boos are for the match official, Jared Gillett. Sheffield United 0, Manchester City 0. Ali.
Thank you, Ian. Paul, let me read you this. Josh has sent us a message. You can text us on 85058 to get in touch on social media. It's at 5 Live Sport. Josh says City have so many top players, but in terms of unlocking a defence, Foden and De Bruyne are their trump cards. It would make sense to play one of them if the other wasn't available. Foden's on the bench today, isn't he, Paul?
Yeah, he is, and he could potentially get utilised in the second half, and that was the key to their first half performance. I mean, the dominance was incredible, over 85% possession for most of the half, but it's just that key to unlock the door. At times they're a little bit slow in front of the Sheffield United defence, allowing them to get back into 2 backs of 5, allowing them to get set. But yeah, you're right, the creativity with Foden and Kevin De Bruyne, maybe that was missing a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Josh, for that. And Paul, just very quickly, obviously since the penalty miss from Haaland, he's been wrestling around with those centre-backs and feels he should have had 2 more penalties. If they get another one, is he taking it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a goal machine, isn't he? I mean, we know what type of breed these strikers are. He wants goals, and he wants to put that penalty miss behind him and put it right. But he's certainly out of character since that penalty miss. You're right, the Sheffield United centre-backs, they're making life very uncomfortable for him, let's say.
Is Ian still there?
He is, yes.
Ian, don't think I didn't notice that delightful glee and mirth in your voice when you came up with Cash Converter after news of Matty Cash's goals at Turf Moor.
But it's probably been used before.
I loved it.
Plagiarism is alive and well.
Good work. We'll have you back for the second half. Paul Robinson and Ian Dennis. Sheffield United 0, Manchester City 0. Penalty for Manchester City, but Erling Haaland struck the inside of the post. So Matty Cash amongst the goals at Turf Moor. Maz Faruqi.
Yeah, he's got both goals for Villa in this first half to give them the 2-0 lead here at Burnley. 2 very different goals as well. The first after a great cutback from the left on the dead ball line by Ollie Watkins. Cash with the toe poke at the far post, at the right post. The second, a surging team move forward, started and then finished by Cash with a 1-2 in there with Diaby. That was a really nice bit of football, that goal. Watkins forced a decent save from Trafford to stop a Villa third as well. I make it no shots on target yet for Burnley. They are seeing plenty of the ball, mind, and Amdouni flashed a shot just over the crossbar, 18 yards out just before the break. But Burnley seem a little bit puzzled as to what to do with the ball in that final third. So work for them to do at half-time. Half-time, Burnley 0, Villa 2.
Yeah, Villa 2 up at Burnley then at half-time. Sheffield United holding Manchester City thus far. Pep Guardiola not on the touchline for his team today as he recovers from back surgery. 1 game in the Championship today. It kicked off at 12 and it played out that Blackburn beat Watford by a 1-0 at Vicarage Road. Ryan Hedges the scorer. That win moves Blackburn up to 9th in the Championship. Championship table. Coming up, we'll be at St James's Park ahead of arguably the biggest fixture of the Premier League weekend. That is Newcastle against Liverpool. That's our second Premier League commentary of the day at 4:30 this afternoon. But before that, here's the news on 5 Live with Carl Hartley. Two teams back out on the field at Bramall Lane, though. Camera firmly focused in on Erling Haaland, the man who missed the penalty in the first half. 0-0 between Sheffield United and the champions Manchester City. Former England goalkeeper Paul Robinson alongside Ian Dennis for this one.
Thanks, Ali. Don't think either side has made a change. So a reminder of the teams for Sheffield United. Foderingham in goal, back three Robinson, Ahmedhodzic, Egan, Baldock and now Larouci as the wing-backs. Remember, Larouci came on for Osborne in the first half. Norwood, Sousa, Harmer, Asola and Traore are the two up front. Sheffield United red and white striped shirts, black shorts, and as the second half is underway, are playing from left to right, attacking the Kop end as we sit high at the back of the main stand here at Bramall Lane. Manchester City in their sky blue shirts and white shorts have Edison in goal, a back four of Walker, Diaz, Gvardiol and Ake, Silva, Rodri and Kovacic, Alvarez, Grealish and Haaland, who missed that penalty 10 minutes before half time. So Paul Robinson, Sheffield United, same again?
Absolutely, the manager was delighted with the way he's executed the game plan in the first half. They defended resolutely and they grew with belief. You know, these players, a lot of them won't have played against Manchester City. They'll have half known what to expect, but you know, they're playing the European Championships. They will feel inferior. But in that first half, they got about them. They defended extremely well. And towards the end of the half, they actually got up the field and created a couple of chances of their own. With Baldock on the right-hand side, they actually grew in belief.
Well, against Newcastle United, there was no substitutions against Newcastle. It was the first time from Pep Guardiola since May 2022. Of course, Guardiola isn't here, but the longer it remains 0-0, then I'm sure that we'll see Phil Foden come off the bench, as in fact he's indeed warming up down below away towards our left-hand side. To Turf Moor, a goal, Maz Faruqi.
Game on, Burnley have one back, their first goal in the Premier League this season. Lyle Foster is back to goal initially, turned and then left-footed, rifled it into the back of the net. Burnley 1, Villa 2.
So 2-1 there. We'll keep you up to date with the two games in the Scottish Premiership that have just gone underway at Dens Park and also in Paisley for St Mirren against Aberdeen. As Manchester City are attacking, the back heel from Bernardo Silva, he gets it back from Walker, right corner of the area, left-footed ball in. Norwood heads it away inside his own penalty area. Rodri lets one fly from long range, good 30 yards out from goal, left-footed off target. And earlier in the Championship, Blackburn Rovers will be heading back to Lancashire, extremely happy after a 1-0 win away at Watford at Vicarage Road in the Championship. 2.5 minutes into the second half. 0-0. But Foden, at some stage, you would think would come off the bench.
Well, the person who emailed in at half-time and said that the Manchester City do miss a little bit of creativity without Kevin De Bruyne and without Foden in the team. They had all the possession in the first half, but it's that final pass, it's moving the ball quick enough, it's that pass that unlocks the defence, and that's the only thing they lacked in the first half.
He created 7 chances against Newcastle United in that 1-0 win against Eddie Howe's side. Manchester City, who've dominated with possession, still being held though by the home team Sheffield United. Bernardo Silva far side the right, Ruben Diaz right corner of the area, lifts over the cross, headed away by Baldock, only as far as Alvarez. Rodri takes over, he was leaning back and he knew as soon as he hit it right-footed that he'd got it horribly wrong, and it was away and off target, sliced wide.
That was a really good chance for Rodri, and a player of his quality, you'd expect him to do better. It was just about technique. I think it comes off Alvarez's chest and it lands at Rodri, he puts it on his thigh and it lands so nicely in front of him, and as you say, he's just leaning back and he lifts it high into the Manchester City fans behind that goal.
They failed to score in one of their last 32 games. That was against Brentford, a Brentford side that actually did the league double over last season's treble winners Manchester City.
And I was there that day. Not a good omen for Manchester City scoring goals.
Mind you, they still contributed 151 last season. I mean, they are an incredible side, but with no De Bruyne and Foden on the bench, Brentford certainly had a good record against them last season, but now we're watching the red and white stripes of Sheffield United trying to keep them at bay as Rodri kills it out towards that far side for Walker. Walker passes the ball hard into the edge of the area, comes to Robinson. Robinson plays it to Larousse on that far side, and then he almost teases Walker. Walker looks to close him down, and Larousse plays it inside to Norwood. He was under pressure. Robinson now is down in that corner flag area, and Manchester City have wrestled the ball back and they've got a throw. They just couldn't get out the home
Brilliant,
team.
Bernardo Silva. I mean, his ball retention is incredible. His footwork there in the corner. It looked like there was nowhere for him to go, but yet he comes out and wins a throw-in for his team.
Throw to Manchester City, far side the right. Walker to take it. Down it goes to the byline. Bernardo Silva back with Walker. He goes further back. It's clouded over. Still a strong breeze inside Bramall Lane on a dry afternoon. As Gvardiol, forward ball for Kovacic. Grealish has actually stayed in a midway point area on this left-hand side. Alvarez now outside the D. Played it back to Ruben Diaz. Rodri, there's a man over on the right. It is Kyle Walker who delivers the cross. And there is Haaland, and he's put it wide. It was off his weaker right foot. Stabs it down into the ground. Foderingham has already gone one way, and he just couldn't find the gap. Off target, goal kick.
Should score. Another opportunity for him. He should score. Manchester City do really well with the ball at the edge of the box. It looks for all the world that Rodri's going to shoot, but he plays it wide to Kyle Walker, who cuts it back to the edge of the 6-yard box. Haaland coming in, it's right in his stride. He hits it with his right foot, meets the ball perfectly, just goes sailing wide of the far post. But that's an opportunity he should, and you would certainly expect him to score.
54 goals that he's scored for Manchester City. Only 10 have come from his right foot, and maybe he should have taken that tally to 11 with a chance that Manchester City had just carved out for themselves.
And that's the first time we've seen Manchester City really move the ball at pace. Within 2 passes there at the byline, it was cut back, and it was a fantastic cutback by Kyle Walker right into Haaland's stride. He didn't break his stride, he just didn't connect properly.
We've got visions of Pep Guardiola back in Spain after his minor back surgery, rocking back in frustration and then probably aggravating the back problem after that miss, because that really would have been one for City to have taken the lead. It still remains 0-0 on BBC Radio 5 Live. Gvardiol, Kovacic, near side the left, down the sides of the penalty area. Grealish back to Kovacic, had to accelerate to get there before Traore could intercept. Still with the sky blue of Manchester City, back heel from Grealish. Good strong challenge from Sousa with Kovacic. They have kept their shape by and large very, very well for 52 minutes of this contest. Ball over the top though. Alvarez just couldn't bring it down, just couldn't lift it out of the sky as it was dropping over his right shoulder.
And it's an impressive shape, and as you quite rightly say, we're high up here in the main stand looking down on the pitch, and you can clearly see the game plan. When Sheffield United are out of possession, they retract into this very solid looking shape, and Manchester City have found it hard to break down. Listen, they've had the possession, they will find chances. They're Manchester City, they've won the Premier League for a reason. They've got a lot of quality players there, but for what Sheffield United have done and what they've clearly worked on this week, it's proven dividends for them so far.
Walker looking to get round the back on that right hand side. That was a firm challenge coming in from Robinson, and behind it goes for a corner kick in front of the travelling support. Alvarez gets a warm applause from the away supporters as he places the ball down quickly in the quadrant. Sheffield United have got every red and white shirt back inside their own penalty area. This will be an out-swinging corner on that far side, the right. And in fact, he's deliberately pulled it towards the right corner to Bernardo Silva, but the return ball to Alvarez was way off target. There was no chance of the Argentine keeping that. And it's seen back safely for a goal kick, to the delight of the home support once more.
Well, Alvarez and Bernardo Silva weren't on the same page there, were they? I mean, Alvarez took the corner into Bernardo Silva, and he just expected that Alvarez would make his run towards the corner of the box. He didn't. He stayed out towards the corner quadrant, and they give away possession quite easily.
Sheffield United, Burnley, Luton Town and Everton are the 4 sides who are all yet to win. Indeed, Everton do come to Bramall Lane next weekend. Burnley have just got a goal back, so they're only trailing 2-1 at home to Aston Villa in the other 2 o'clock kickoff. At 4:30 we'll be at St James's Park for commentary of Newcastle United against Liverpool. But Manchester City here seeing a lot of the ball. 9 minutes into the second half. The assistant manager in the absence of Guardiola, Juan Malillo, is out in the technical area watching on as Grealish teases his way to the left side of the penalty area. Back with Guardiol, left corner of the box, unable to deliver it because of the presence of Sousa in front of him. Kovacic now then to Diaz, midway through the Sheffield United half. Diagonal ball out towards the right. Cross comes in, Need away, only as far as Kovacic, inside the D. Now with his back to goal, being forced away by Norwood. Guardiol 25 yards out, passes and finds the ball with Grealish. Grealish accelerates into the penalty area. Block comes in, only as far as Rodri. Looks up, finds Walker, right corner of the area. In comes the cross. Alvarez with a head, couldn't find a telling touch. Brushes the top of his head to Guardiol. Gets the crossover and it was blocked by Ahmedhodzic, and it's behind for a corner kick to Manchester City.
Well, they're getting deeper and deeper as Sheffield United. This game plan's worked for them for a long time, but now City, they're running at them, they're trying to pick holes in it. The Sheffield United red and white wall is staying strong at the moment, but they are starting to get deeper and deeper.
10 minutes into the second half. Corner kick again, played short. Alvarez to Kovacic. Alvarez wants the return. Alvarez, though, again is closed down. This was by Norwood. Sheffield United's players showing no signs of tiring just at the moment, as Kovacic passes the ball to Bernardo Silva. Head down, runs forward. Edge of the area on that right side. Rodri is the one who provides the width level with the box. Now with Walker outside the centre circle. He passes the ball to Guardiol. He's midway through the Sheffield United half. It goes to this near side, the left. Guardiol has gone forward. And then Grealish passes the ball. Guardiol looked like he was getting it on the end of it, changed his mind, and as Grealish passes the ball in that split second, Guardiol is back on his back feet.
I think it was the right ball in. I think Grealish played the right pass, but I just don't think his understanding with Guardiol was there. Guardiol stopped. I think he didn't expect to find himself in so much space high up the field. And what we're seeing on the screen that the AirPods have been passed along the bench. Could that be a certain manager on the telephone, do you think?
Yeah, the call coming in from Spain. Guardiola watching on, as you say, and now all of a sudden Leo has come to the edge of his area, but there was clear instruction there of some sort of communication. Here is Diaz. Haaland touches the ball back. He's had hardly any joy from those three centre-backs. Haaland, Bernardo Silva, waits. Laroussi's ahead of him. Back to Rodri. Diaz, shooting opportunity, takes the deflection. Behind for a corner kick. We'll go to Turf Moor. Maz Faruqi.
Different energy and intent now to this Burnley side. Now they've pulled a goal back. They've got a corner as well. Zander Berg getting really forward now down this left-hand side in these left-hand channels for Burnley. They still trail 2-1, but they are looking like the side on top at the moment.
Well, Manchester City have been on top throughout, but they just can't find that blow at the moment to break the Sheffield United resistance. As the corner comes in, Fotheringham attacks it, punches the ball away, and the referee's blown his whistle. And ironic cheers are deafening from the home support.
Does very well, the goalkeeper there, Fotheringham. You can clearly hear the noise in the background, but the Sheffield United supporters don't feel the referee has been giving them some decisions they would necessarily have wanted today.
And it all started with that penalty award that was missed by Erling Haaland, as Guardiol turns and he sees the ball back to Ederson. I think it's only the second time that Ederson has touched the ball so far. St Mirren Aberdeen in the Scottish Premiership. Gavin Wallace.
Currently St Mirren 0, Aberdeen 0. Ian, best chance coming after 7 minutes. Ball whipped in by Greg Kilty, but he couldn't quite get on to the end of it. St Mirren having the lion's share of it, but still St Mirren 0, Aberdeen 0.
Grealish in the penalty area to Rodri, onto his left foot, shoots! Oh, that was a whisker wide. He quickly pushed it from his right foot onto his left. He's hit it low. It was going away from goal, but that would, I would say, 6 inches, maybe even less, from Fotheringham's right-hand post.
Really difficult one for the goalkeeper, that, because it's come through a crowd of legs. Grealish does brilliantly well again against Baldock. He's got him running into the box. He's running back into the box, and Baldock can't touch Grealish. Pulls it back to Rodri, whose footwork is absolutely immaculate. Drags his shot just wide of the far post.
So they've had a goal disallowed for Ake. That was in the 20th minute. Fotheringham made a good save from Alvarez. Haaland missed the penalty 10 minutes before half-time. And then Haaland and Rodri have gone close in the second half. It remains 0-0. And now the Sheffield United supporters are further incensed by referee Jared Gillett, because they felt that Osula had been fouled by Guardiol, but the referee has got it is giving it the other way, and Heckingbottom, the manager of Sheffield United, is not having it either.
It's a trailing arm for Masula. He just catches Guardiola. Guardiola really does make the most of it. It's caught him in the face, but it's not enough to go down with the reaction that he did. And as he's gone down, he's pulled Asula down, which is why the Sheffield United fans are so disgruntled. He has caught Guardiola in the face, but it wasn't with the force that he's gone down with.
And then to add insult to injury, Asula has been booked by the Australian referee. So that's the second yellow card for Sheffield United. There's been a goal at Turf Moor. Mas Faruqi.
A third for Villa. Diaby with the finish, but all the hard work and the build-up was done by John McGinn down the left-hand side. Such power and strength to get it past a couple of Burnley players. Fed the ball into Diaby. A neat finish from the Aston Villa man. Burnley 1, Villa 3.
I think there might be a few Sheffield United fans calling in to 606 after the commentary from St James's Park on 08085909693. After one of them last night accused Chris Sutton of being part of the system. Here is Kovacic, forward ball, Haaland's onto it. Foderingham with a super save, because Haaland hits it early, and then the arm came out from behind Foderingham to turn the ball behind.
Well, he's done fantastically well, and you think for all the world that Haaland's going to score. It's that ball they've been looking for in behind. Kovacic slips it in between the two centre-halves. Haaland's through one-on-one, just turns his shoulder, and instead of hitting the ball, he dinks it over Foderingham. Foderingham sees that, lifts his arm and makes a fantastic save.
Corner comes in for Manchester City, goes over everybody and through a complete body of players.
Still in?
The slip from Traore. That was like it's a knockout. He slipped over on the ball. The ball's hit the corner flag. It stayed in play. Manchester City are back in possession. Here now is Jack Grealish. Grealish into the penalty area. Back heels the ball. Alvarez shoots. Might have hit the side of the post. No, I think the keeper got another touch. It's behind for another corner. What's going on at that end of the pitch?
I think it's the AstroTurf grass.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's two that have gone down in the last 30 seconds.
Rodri it's like closing time. Here is Kovacic. Now with Walker, he shoots and it's over the top. They're peppering the City goal. It's all happening. If that little incident doesn't make Too Good Too Bad,
it's got to be on Too Good Too Bad tonight. It has to be.
Match the day tonight, 10:30.
I can't describe what Traore did. The ball was running out of play on the far side. He slipped over. He's kicked the ball against the corner flag. The ball stayed in and he's retained possession.
It was like a late night reveller on the big market in Newcastle. Great noise, by the way, inside the stadium. The Sheffield United fans, well, they're 2/3 of the way from keeping out the treble winners. Norwood, Walker. I sense there's been a step up of intensity from Manchester City as well. Here is Kovacic. Still trying to prise open this Sheffield United defence. Grealish enters the penalty area, inching his way towards the byline, towards the far post. Haaland with the header. They always find a way, and Haaland on the end of the Grealish cross, firm header far post. He wasn't going to miss that one, and the goal that has been coming duly arrives, and of course it had to be Erling Haaland.
Well, it's been coming. We've talked about the possession, and that's the easiest chance that the Norwegian will have all day. What a fantastic header at the far post, but it was all Jack Grealish down this left-hand side. Squared Baldock up again, got him running with his back to goal, thinking he's going to do a trick, but actually he just stands it up to the far post, and there's Erling Haaland, 2 yards out, nods it into an empty net. Nothing more than Manchester City deserve. A fantastic move ended with Haaland finding the net finally.
Well, he missed the penalty. He missed other opportunities. Foderingham made the save from him just 3 minutes ago. But Haaland, I remember at the start of last season he did an interview with Alan Shearer and he was saying that I've got to improve with my heading. That's his 9th headed goal for Manchester City as he takes his tally to 55. 55 in 58 games. All the players are coming over onto this side of the pitch because Foderingham has gone down inside the 6-yard area, so there's going to be a stoppage in play. The physios are coming on, But it was a super cross from Grealish, the way he just stood it up for him.
Grealish was absolutely brilliant. I mean, all the play in the first half was down this right-hand side. The majority went through Kyle Walker and Bernardo Silva. But this second half, Jack Grealish has really stepped up to the plate. He's ran at Baldock, he's forced him back, he's put him in situations in the penalty box where he's unable to make a challenge. And that's always difficult for a defender. And Grealish, you think he's going to take him on, he does, he goes round his outside. And he stands a delightful ball up to the far post that misses everybody. And Haaland's got the simplest task to put it into the goal. It was a really, really good bit of play by Jack Grealish.
And now all of a sudden we go back to the keeper is being tended to. The question that you posed earlier, and we did say it was when City scored rather than if, although at times you were thinking, could that change? But nevertheless, when you'd said earlier in the first half, when they do, what does Sheffield United do to try and change what is the approach now for the home team?
That's what we've got to look out for now. What does Sheffield United do? I mean, listen, a 1-0 defeat at home to Manchester City is certainly, it's not going to hurt their season. But actually, what do they do now? Do they come out openly expansive and try and get something from the game and leave themselves wide open at the back? Because we know that City have got the quality to find these holes, to find these spaces. Sheffield United have had a fantastic game plan since the game's kicked off, but it's all been defence. It's all been around how to stop Manchester City. Now they have to do something different if they want to get something from this game.
Well, City have never lost in the Premier League in 10 games against Sheffield United. The last top-flight defeat was actually February '92, where they lost 4-2 under Dave Bassett. As the ball is played forward by Gvardiol up towards Haaland. He climbed ever so well there. There was a real spring in his step after that goal. But 66 minutes in and Manchester City are 1-0 up, and it's Haaland with the header, and it's the travelling support who are in full voice now here at Bramall Lane. Always travel in such good numbers, and Rodri back with Gvardiol. And if they keep the ball as well as they have by and large in this game and dominate the possession, then they'll see out the win.
Well, with the possession that they've had, it was always going to be a case of when, not if. And now the when has arrived. It's what does Sheffield United do next? They've played so well. They've defended excellently. They've had a very, very strict game plan and they've stuck to it. Manchester City have finally cut through, finally got the hole and taken the chance. But again, we're not seeing anything different at the moment from Sheffield United. They've sacrificed possession. City have got comfortable possession and everyone's in the half.
Walker looks to get round the back. Walker plays it in. Foderingham has shaken off that little knock that he'd picked up after Manchester City had taken the lead. Guardiol's powerful header forward to Kovacic. The referee was ready to blow his whistle. It was actually in his mouth at one stage, and then he thought he let the game flow and let it continue, as now Kovacic has it and Manchester City are back in possession. Aston Villa lead at Burnley by 3-1 elsewhere in the Premier League. We'll get the team news when we can from Newcastle United, Liverpool. That should be in around about 3 minutes time, I would have thought. Watford 0, Blackburn Rovers 1 was the result in the Championship, and in the Scottish Premiership still no goals between Dundee and Hearts and St Mirren and Aberdeen in the 2-3 o'clock kickoffs in Scotland. Monday Night Club with Mark Chapman from 7 tomorrow, and then we've got League Cup action for you on Tuesday and Wednesday. We're at Plymouth Palace on Tuesday at Home Park, and then Doncaster Everton on Wednesday. But lots of reporters out and about for the second round of the League Cup, and indeed Lincoln City are the visitors here on Wednesday night to Bramall Lane. This is the first of 3 home games for Sheffield United. But in the Premier League, as we're midway through the second half, it's Sheffield United 0, Manchester City 1. 5 Live and BBC Sounds, and Manchester City throughout have been in complete control of this game.
They have. It'll be interesting to hear from the Sheffield United fans on 606 later, because their team really have put a shift in for them today. They've worked their socks off for the manager, the way that they've defended, the way that they've pressed, and they've been in this game. It's been a dominant performance possession-wise for Manchester City, but it's certainly a different performance than the one I saw Sheffield United against Palace and against Forest. It should give the support real impetus going forward. Something, that they've given their fans something today already.
Well, here is Rodri, midway through the Sheffield United half, and now it's with Gvardiol to Kovacic. Ake comes onto the ball, but it's a walking pace from Manchester City. Then to Haaland, lays it off. Interception from Norwood. Back to Foderingham, who turns away from Alvarez. And then he hits the ball long and forward, but Gvardiol with a header to Rodri, and once again it's just going to come straight back at them. After the international break, Sheffield United have got Tottenham away, Newcastle at home, and West Ham United away, as the ball goes into the feet of Haaland, couldn't control it, which then gives you the impression that that Everton game next weekend is an extremely important one, given that the difficult fixtures they've got after the international break, because you could easily find yourself detached.
Can we say 6-pointer already?
Well,
it was talked about. Everton Wolves yesterday was one already.
It? Yeah. Here is, this is Bernardo Silva, enters the penalty area. Bernardo Silva twists and turns. It's an amazing little run by Bernardo Silva. One twist and turn too many. The thing is that the last time they were in the Premier League, they took only 2 points from their opening 17 Premier League games. It can soon become quite dispiriting down at the bottom.
Absolutely, and when you're in that bottom three, it's very, very hard to get out of. A losing run is just as hard to get out of, if not harder than a winning run. Believe me, I've been on a few.
Bogle's going to be coming on, and as is Ollie McBurney. As the ball is played through to Haaland, flag has stayed down. Haaland enters the penalty area onto his left foot. Clinical finish. Now the flag is raised. Offside.
Got to be the worst rule in football. Waiting for the linesman to put his flag up. I think everyone in the stadium knew that he was offside, Haaland included, but we have to play the play out for some reason.
So the double change is going to be made. I think we can get the team news, can we, from St James's Park? John Murray.
Yes, same team again for Newcastle, so all 3 matches this season now, the same Newcastle starting lineup. So Joe Linton, who was a slight doubt, is okay and continues in the team. Liverpool, though, make their first changes of the season to their starting lineup, 2 of them today. Alexander-Arnold is fit, he was a doubt, but there's no Konate, who is out with a muscle injury. Matip comes in for him. A new Japanese signing, Wataru Endo, gets his first start in midfield, and Diogo Jota's the front man who drops to the bench. And it's raining here, Ian Mitchell. Please and
that means you could be getting wet if you sat low down in that press box. John Murray and Pat, hope you've got packed a poncho or two. Commentary from 4:30 with Pat and John on BBC Radio 5 Live. So McBurney came on for Asula. Ollie McBurney, first run out for him of the season after a foot injury. Jayden Bogle replaced Baldock. Grealish, meanwhile, has gone down here, and it was a challenge from McBurney. Might just have given the England international a bit of a dead leg. 31,336 is the attendance inside Bramall Lane today. Paul.
Yeah, he doesn't look comfortable here, Jack Grealish. I think you're right. I think McBurney just caught him, tripped him up, but as he's gone over, it's one of the awkward ones where his knee's just gone into his thigh, and it does look like a dead leg. He's certainly not comfortable down there.
So Gareth Southgate, he names his England squad for the games against Ukraine and Scotland on Thursday. So I'm sure Gareth will be hoping that Jack Grealish is okay, as he's getting a lot of treatment down below. And judging by that, I'm not too sure that he's going to be able to continue. There was a signal from one of the physios to the bench. Let's get an update from Turf Moor. Maz Faruqi.
Still Burnley 1, Villa 3. Nearly a fourth for Villa, though. Watkins' effort straight at Trafford in the Burnley goal. The Villa fans behind that goal thought it went in. Vinny Kompany's made a couple of subs, by the way, including bringing on Aaron Ramsey, his new signing this week, of course, from Villa. And Villa's new man, Nicolo Zaniolo, is also on.
Well, the activity on the bench for the time being has just been delayed, because Grealish looks like he's going to be all right after all. Out of play it goes for a throw. Let's go to St Mirren. Gavin Wallace.
Still 0-0 at the moment. Oh, just as St Mirren get it tipped over the bar. Greg Kiltie just getting up there, and Keller Roos really having to stretch to tip that over just a minute or so ago as well. Colin Boyd-Muntz with a great free kick. Richard Taylor was up well, but Keller Roos again having to be alert. It's all St Mirren just now, but still St Mirren 0, Aberdeen 0.
Grealish comes back onto the field of play. City still lead by a goal to nil. Long throw for Sheffield United. Held in from the left. Only cleared as far as Harmer. Fires it back in. Ruben Dias was the one who tumbled and then got the block in. There was appeals for handball more from the crowd than the Sheffield United players. As that's a poor clearance from Edison. Hooked back goalwards from a long way out by Ahmed Hodzic, and it drifts wide for a goal kick. I think the message now from Sheffield United is they're just going to give it a go. Yeah, and the ball's going in. It's going in long to the box. Set plays, very direct. No apologies made. Edison makes a real mess of that long throw, and it comes out. And Ruben Dias he's kind of dived to his left and blocked. You can't really tell because there's that many bodies. He's got his hands firmly behind his back, which defenders are having to do nowadays. He's thrown his body to the left with his hands behind his back, but twice Edison's nearly cost his team with a poor punch and a poor clearance. Haven't been too many scares for Manchester City, but that might have just constituted a minor one for the champions. An update from the Dutch Grand Prix. Harry Benjamin.
Piastri, the top 10, currently under red flag conditions here for the Dutch Grand Prix. The rain has come down hard and Verstappen leading with the red flag.
Commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra. You've got the podcast as well, the Checkered Flag podcast that is always available on BBC Sounds. Don't forget the 5 Live Football Daily Pod that will have all the reaction to today's games with 15 minutes remaining of normal time. Manchester City is still leading by a goal to nil. They've had 2 goals disallowed, rightly disallowed I should say. They've also had a missed penalty from Haaland. Here is Alvarez, but they lead through a Haaland header. Alvarez with a shot, but he's dragged it right-footed off target. Goal kick. Yeah, poor from Alvarez. Finds himself in a lot of space from the outside of the box, and he drags his shot well wide, which Sheffield United won't be disappointed about. Now they've got a bit of a spring in the step, Sheffield United. It's a goal kick, and it's something that we see very rarely in the Premier League these days. The goalkeeper's putting the ball on the 6-yard line and he's kicking it down the field. Can I ask you a question? If you were, say, for instance, Sean Dyche, Steve Stone, Ian Woan, who might well have taken this game in today, bearing in mind that Everton are playing Sheffield United next weekend. Yeah. If they actually win a corner kick, I'll hold that thought. It was a ball played down the right-hand side, and Ake sliding back to curb the run of Traore. So attacking the Kop. Manchester City now have got everybody back. Sheffield United looking to try and salvage something from this game with 14 minutes remaining. Offered nothing, unable to offer anything in open play, so they're now relying on this set piece. A bit of pushing and shoving at the minute going on. Norwood now delivers the ball. It's an outswinger. McBurney with the header, and it was off target and for a goal kick. That's a great chance for Sheffield United, and like you'd say, if they are to get back in the game, they have to make the most of set plays. It's an out-swinging corner, and McBurney gets himself free. We know he's been out injured, he's not played for a while. He's got a free header. It's a long way from goal, but he's really disappointed that he doesn't connect with that one for it. But going back to the point I was about to make, because Sheffield United have by and large spent this whole game trying to contain Manchester City, as an opposing manager or a scout, if you're looking for patterns of play, that must make that scouting mission a little bit more difficult. Yeah, very difficult. Everton and other teams that will play Sheffield United will learn more from the way that they play against teams who play like them, like Palace and Forest. Strong run by Bernardo Silva. He was pulled back by Sousa. That'll be a yellow card. Yeah, if Sean Dyche is here today watching this game, or his scouts are, he won't be overly interested in the way that they're playing against Manchester City. They will have scouted 2 weeks before how they played at home against Palace, how they set up against Forest, not how they tried to stop the champions winning the game. Yeah. Paul Robinson, formerly of Leeds United, Tottenham Hotspur and Blackburn Rovers, and his former club, with a 1-0 win at Vicarage Road in the Championship earlier today, is with us here at Bramall Lane as Manchester City, with 12 minutes of normal time remaining, lead by a goal to nil. Now that is interesting. Ruben Dias came across to the bench. He was getting some instructions, and then he's legged it right towards the centre circle where this free kick has been taken, and in a little huddle there are 4 players now, and Ruben Dias is passing some instructions across to Bernardo Silva, Alvarez, Jack Grealish is the other one. Meanwhile behind them, Kyle Walker is animated in a conversation with Ake and Gvardiol as well. Sheffield United have got everybody back. So 12 minutes remain. You're listening to 5 Live and BBC Sounds. It's a free kick. It's fractionally left of centre, just outside the D. Foderingham doesn't look like he's got much of a sight of this. Alvarez waits off his right foot, or will it be the left of Bernardo Silva? It is Alvarez. Foderingham with a good save. He moves smartly away, one step towards his right, two-handed, push the ball behind for a corner kick. Good save by Foderingham.
Alvarez does really well. It's a nice distance. He gets it up and down over the wall, not quite in the corner, but Foderingham holds his ground and he's able to make the save comfortably.
Made a number of fine saves, actually, hasn't he?
He's done well. He's played well today, but we said that before when we were talking to Ali in the studio. We knew that he was going to have a busy day today.
Corner kick. Grealish to take it. Front of the travelling support, near side, the left. In it goes now. McBurney back on defensive duties, climbs above everybody else. Kovacic, though, will flick the ball in the air towards Grealish. He's round the back of Larouci. Sousa and Larouci try and pin Grealish down in towards the corner flag. Releases the ball to Gvardiol. Bogle gets a challenge. Grealish tries to get it back. It rides up towards Norwood. City go hunting for the ball. Gvardiol is actually hobbling. He'd stayed down on the field temporarily. Kovacic was the one filling in for his fellow Croatian. Out of play it goes for a throw, and we have just over 10 minutes remaining, and Chris Basham is going to be coming on. Great service for Basham, and he is going to replace Norwood. So again, I would imagine he'll just sit there in the midfield. Will the former Bolton and Blackpool player.
It's a like-for-like change. They've done well in the midfield today. The midfield have covered the defence extremely well. The game plan's worked, and the longer this game goes, the more nervy that City will get, because as we've seen, Sheffield United will throw the ball forward. If they get the odd corner, they get the free kick, throw in, they're not afraid to put it into the box.
And we said earlier, didn't we, that no substitutions against Newcastle was the first time since May 2022. City at the minute have not gone to the bench either, where they've got Phil Foden or their new signing Jeremy Doku. As again the ironic cheers from the Sheffield United supporters as they get another decision from referee Jared Gillett inside their own half, which Foderingham may well take, and City now will try and keep as high a line as possible to protect Ederson as McBurney is forward. Ahmed Hodzic, Egan, central defenders have all gone forward from the back too.
And Erling Haaland's dropped into a centre-half position to help his centre-backs out.
So here it comes now from Foderingham. It's a diagonal ball over the head of Egan and Grealish. Ahmed Hodzic back then with Bogle on the halfway line. Basham just fills in. Larouci's just outside the centre circle of his own half, and then he accelerates and carries the ball a good 10-15 yards and feeds it out wide to the left for Traore, who's got pace. He's round the back, he goes down under a challenge from Walker. Sheffield United's players are looking for a penalty. Referee Jared Gillett remains unmoved.
Well, that is a rarity. How often do you see Carl Walker outpaced? Traore flew past him. It was brilliant ball by Larouci. He got the ball, burst into midfield, played out wide to Traore, who first took it round Carl Walker. He leans on him a little bit. I think if it was a penalty, it would have been harsh to be given. But Traore just put the afterburners on and flew round Carl Walker.
Yeah, and the fact that the throw is going to be taken, VAR quickly discounts that challenge. In it comes now. Sousa tries to get there. You're right about the pace, and you're right, you don't see Walker beaten like that. But Benny Traore, 20 years of age, forward from the Ivory Coast, made his debut for the Ivory Coast under-23s in March. He signed from the Swedish club Häcken a 4-year deal. He looks lively when he's got space to run into.
He certainly does, and when they're out of possession, he's a great option to have.
Sheffield United trailing by 1-0, making it a little bit more of a contest for the neutral in these stages now, but this is where they leave themselves open and vulnerable to the counter-attack, and Grealish has Haaland going through the middle, but he just couldn't release him, and then Grealish was fouled, and the referee is giving a yellow card to Egan. Haaland was away. If only he could have found him. The Sheffield United captain is booked.
I think he was echoing the sentiments of quite a lot of his fellow supporters in the stadium. There was Egan, the Sheffield United captain, and the referee took objection to what he said. It did seem a gentle free kick. Grealish knew exactly what he was doing, trying to retain possession, running at the Sheffield United back four. As soon as he felt the touch, he went down.
Well, City have never won 5 successive league games at Bramall Lane, but they're on course to do exactly that, and all by the same margin of scoreline, 1-0. We've got 7 minutes remaining of normal time. The Sunshine Ederson in front of the Sheffield United cop here at Bramall Lane to Ake. Back to the City keeper it goes once again, and still the champions are yet to concede in the Premier League this season. There's no pressure on the ball. He eventually releases it out towards that far side. Haaland rides up, behind him is Alvarez, plays a short ball on the inside to Rodri. Rodri now to Kovacic, running away to his left. Gvardiol is steaming ahead of Grealish. Grealish will use him as a bit of a decoy run. He finds Kovacic. Kovacic with a low shot, right-footed. It was a comfortable save by Foderingham away to his left-hand side.
But again, it's Grealish doing well, running at the back four. But like what you said there about Edison with the ball at his feet, it's so apparent now that opposition teams are not closing the goalkeeper down, because when Manchester City are set and they're in possession, the goalkeeper is so good with his feet. He's such a dangerous weapon that if they allow a body to go forward, it leaves space for him to find a pass.
Palmer to Traore. Traore left corner of the area, shows too much to Kyle Walker. Ooh, a careless backheel, straight back to Traore, fired it into the feet of Harmer, still hasn't been cleared, comes towards Bogle, who shoots! Sheffield United lead! Sheffield United equalise! Fired back in by Jayden Bogle! Sheer delirium inside Bramall Lane. It was a careless backheel by Kyle Walker. Sheffield United kept it alive, and Bogle, with 6 minutes remaining, right-footed, fired in the equaliser.
Well, the volume level in this place is incredible. The roof's just come off. Sheffield United, for all the defending they've done, for all the hard work they've done, for all the battling they've done, they've got into the Manchester City box. Traore goes round Walker. Walker inexplicably backheels the ball straight back to Traore. It comes out this side with Bogle, and he's got a great angle to shoot at. It's deflected across the goal, and it goes into the far corner above Edison's hands. What a fantastic moment for Sheffield United.
There is going to be a VAR check, because the referee is delaying the restart. As Bogle fired the ball in, McBurney was in an offside position. Now Edison's diving forward. Did McBurney interfere with Edison?
Edison has dived into McBurney, so there is a case here. Listen, people watching football will go, oh no, the goalkeeper wasn't going to get it, we want the goal to stand. There is a case where Edison has dived into McBurney, but the goal's been given, the game kicks off, the goal stands, it's 1-1.
And Phil Foden has come onto the field of play. Kovacic is the one who has gone off. 1-1 at Bramall Lane. And Paul Heckingbottom's game plan has worked to an absolute T. Stay off, or stay in the game for as long as you possibly can, and then try and salvage something. But here is Foden. Foden to Alvarez, just over the top, right-footed inside the penalty area. Couldn't keep it down, over the crossbar, curling away, goal kick, 1-1.
Well, there's that creativity that we talked about by Foden. Immediately links up with Kyle Walker down that right-hand side. Plays a great ball into Alvarez, who just opens his body up. He should score, he should do better. He's 12 yards out. He's got a free strike on goal. Lifts it into those Manchester City supporters, who have gone extremely quiet.
The first time that the champions have conceded in the Premier League this season. And Sheffield United could well be claiming such a precious point here at Bramall Lane.
Well, if they get something here in, what will this do for them in the coming weeks? What a confidence boost after two really poor results and potentially performances before this game. A result at home against Manchester City that nobody, myself included, gave them a chance of getting. What could this do for them confidence-wise?
And what was Kyle Walker thinking of with a backheel inside his own penalty area? Because that's where the goal came from, really.
So out of character for him.
Goal at St Mirren, Gavin Wallace.
Indeed, St Mirren 0, Aberdeen 1, and if ever there was a goal to be put on Too Good, Too Bad on Match of the Day 2, this was it. Aberdeen's only chance. Johnny Hayes, a free kick from 25-30 yards, Ian, straight in through the box by every single person, including Zach Hemming in goal, and nestled into the bottom left-hand corner. St Mirren 0, Aberdeen 1.
Foden, left corner of the area. Now with Bernardo Silva. Haaland with a header, couldn't get on the end of it. Such a teasing ball in from the left-hand side. It was an inviting cross. Walker keeps the ball in play on that right-hand side away from Larousse. He pulls it back. Foden can't control it. But Rodri can. He's hammered the ball into the top left-hand corner. What a finish by Rodri. And the champions are back in front, and they lead by 2-1. That was a lethal finish by Rodri.
What an incredible strike by Rodri. We talked about Kyle Walker at fault for the goal. He's done brilliantly well down there, down the Sheffield United left-hand side. He pulls the ball back. It bobbles up in the air, and you think, go on, hit it. He doesn't disappoint, Rodri. It bounces up in front of him. He hits it on the left foot. You'll never see it hit so sweetly. Takes out the top right-hand corner of Fotheringham's net. What a strike by Rodri.
And Kyle Walker clearly redeeming himself, because he was at fault in the build-up to the Sheffield United equaliser. But he chased that lost cause. He kept the ball in play on the right-hand side, and he then helped create that goal that was finished. What a strike!
Oh, the power of that strike. If the net wasn't there, it'd still be going now, Ian. It all came because Walker pulled it back to Foden, and Foden unusually couldn't get clean hold of the ball. Just goes out of his feet. It bounces up in front of Rodri. Just lashes it with his left foot. What a finish.
It was interesting because as Foden couldn't control the ball, the touch from Foden just gave the ball a bit of bounce, didn't it?
That's it. That was the lift that he needed, and Rodri didn't need asking twice.
2-1 to Manchester City. Can Sheffield United bring themselves back off the canvas? What a finish we've got here. What a cross that is! Oh! Ahmedhodzic has just thrown himself at the far post, and he led with his right foot, but he's coming in at the left-hand post, the far post, so his touch with his right foot is always going to take the ball away from goal. If he goes with his left boot, surely he takes it goalwards.
He's centimetres away from putting Sheffield United back in this game. Ollie McBurney down his right-hand side does brilliantly well, lifts the ball up, floats it to the far post, and as you say, Ahmedhodzic, he goes with the wrong foot. He's coming in from the left-hand side. He leads with his right foot.
It was almost like a kung fu kick, wasn't it, from Ahmedhodzic. 7 minutes of additional time, which we're now into. I've got to say, I wasn't expecting such a stirring finish. Oh, mistake at the back. Haaland brings the ball under control, then tries to backheel it towards Foden. And Sheffield United, they almost could have made it 2-2 there.
Well, from a Manchester City point of view, the experienced head in this team, somebody needs to get hold of the ball, needs to calm it down, retain possession and keep the ball for a while. Just take the sting out of this game.
Here is Grealish. So we're into the first of the 7 minutes added on. Sheffield United 1, Manchester City 2. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. We're at St James's Park with John Murray and Pat Nevin from 4:30 for Newcastle United against Liverpool. And here Sheffield United were thinking of maybe a precious point. But Rodri had something to say about that. He scored against Burnley, and then he's hammered in what could be a winning goal. Edison, a nonchalant ball out of defence. Oh, that was careless by Diaz to Larouci. Larouci inside the penalty area. Harmer back to Larouci. Left-footed, couldn't keep it down. Skies it into the cop. Goal kick. City 2-1.
Lacks of concentration from Manchester City again. Diaz gives the ball away possession. Larouci just intercepts his pass into Foden, and he's running at the edge of the box. Tries to slip it into McBurney, opens himself up, plays a 1-2, gets the ball back, and he should hit the target, in all honesty.
I mean, they contributed to the downfall for the Sheffield United equaliser at the time. They almost gave away another goal again because of the carelessness at the back from Ruben Diaz.
Well, what a second half we've had, haven't we? The second half's been fantastic.
Yeah, enjoyed it. 5 minutes remaining. 2-1 to Manchester City. They would be the only side in the Premier League to have had a 100% winning start after Brighton were beaten yesterday by West Ham United and Arsenal conceded late at home to Fulham. Basham helps Grealish to his feet. There was a free kick being given away. Manchester City then will leave this to Bernardo Silva. Grealish will just walk away. Champions League group stages draw incidentally is made on Thursday. There'll be news of that in Drive.
And in all this time, in this excellent second half, we've got listeners hanging on tenderhooks waiting for this story of you and Peter Lorimer that you've still not had a chance to tell us.
Haven't had time. I'll have to put it on the back burner. I thought you'd forgotten. Here is Grealish. It probably wasn't such a good tale.
Well, we built
anyway.
it up now, you better keep it.
Yeah, I'll keep it for the next time I'm doing a dull game that involves somebody who once played for Troyes. Here is Walker to Foden. Just tried to get that control back. It had been lost momentarily. Foden then with a shot, takes a deflection, spins out and spins behind, and it goes out of play for a corner kick to Manchester City. And we're almost halfway through the 7 minutes of added on time. We'll get you the thoughts. So we won't get it in time before the 4:30 commentary on 5 Live's Premier League Sunday. Maybe at half time at St James's Park. And if not, it'll be in the 5 Live Football Daily podcast. It'll be able to download from your usual available source. BBC Sounds, of course, would be preferable, as just playing keep ball, Haaland gets a throw down by the corner flag, and Manchester City now are just going to keep the ball for as long as they can in that corner.
Well, that shows credit that's due to Sheffield United, that we're seeing the European champions having to waste time, for want of a better phrase, in the corner away at Sheffield United. They've put in a real shift today of Sheffield United, and at times they've given the champions a scare.
Yeah, they have. Certainly none more so than when Bogle fired in the equaliser with 5 minutes remaining, as the crowd have... What's gone on there? Because the crowd have reacted. It was with Rodri. Paul Heckingbottom's just looking across. Is that a decision that has not gone in their way? He's given them a Manchester City throw as the rain now is sweeping down here at Bramall Lane, as the free kick is taken for Manchester City. Out to Foden. Delightful touch by Foden, right corner of the area. Just over 2 minutes remaining now, and Manchester City have... They'd lost it just fractionally, hadn't they? Where Sheffield United just gave a spirited finish, but Manchester City, since they're going 2-1 up in front, as here is Foden in the penalty area, lifts it towards the far post, that bouncing ball back towards Grealish on the left-hand side. Haaland waits in the area, Alvarez is there as well. Grealish can't deliver the cross, they've doubled up on him, and they're just going to keep the ball for the closing stages. Rodri. It's a finish, though, that you will certainly not tire of watching. It was an emphatic ball, as Paul Robinson says, lashed home. Talking of Peter Lorimer, that's one that he would have been proud of, lash himself. Here is Grealish over the halfway line, and City have with Rodri. We're about to enter the last 60 seconds or so here at Bramall Lane. 2-1 to Manchester City. But there'll be positives, I would imagine, for Paul Heckingbottom to take from it.
Absolutely. I mean, his team defended excellently well in the first half. You're going to concede chances against Manchester City because they're very good, and that's what you would expect. But they had a game plan. They found a way. They disrupted Manchester City. They didn't make it easy for them. They played really low. They tried to break them down. They couldn't. And in the second half, they grew into the game, and when Manchester City went 1-0 up, Sheffield United found a way to come back into the game. The pace of Traore, McBurney, for me, has made a difference when he's come on, and certainly the manager will be delighted with what his team's shown him today.
They trail, though, by 2-1. Pep Guardiola, watching back home in Spain after that minor back surgery, will just be able to relax now in these closing stages, because Manchester City are going to see it out, and they will be the only side with a 100% winning start to the Premier League campaign, looking to become the first team in English football in the top division to win 4 successive titles. Never been done before, but it's been a 100% start from the champions. As the ball goes back to Foderingham, there's a Sheffield United player down on the far side with cramp. By my watch, the 7 minutes are up. The ball is hit long by Egan, flicked on by Traore, headed away by Diaz, and there it is, the final whistle. 3 points for the champions, and 3 from 3 as they've beaten Sheffield United by 2-1. Paul Robinson.
Yeah, they were good today, City, in the first half, but a lot of credit has to be given to Sheffield United for the way that they stuck to the game plan, for what they gave their manager. They knew they were the inferior side today. They tried to find a way. They played with passion, they played with spirit, but Manchester City were just too good, and there's no shame in that. That will happen to a lot of teams this year. Manchester City were very dominant in possession, didn't create or take the chances that they should have done. Got the goal through Haaland, great ball by Grealish, and then Rodri, when they went back to 1-1, Rodri stepped up, fired a fantastic shot past Foderingham in the goal. But listen, Paul Heckingbottom as a Sheffield United manager tonight will go home, will re-watch this, and we'll see the pride, the passion, the effort that his team have given him. Manchester City were just too good.
Manchester City, for the first time, 5 successive league victories at Bramall Lane. They had 2 goals disallowed. Haaland missed a penalty. Haaland with a header put them ahead in the 63rd minute, but Bogle with an equaliser 5 minutes from time And while Sheffield United, who remain pointless, were then thinking of a precious point, it lasted just for 3 minutes before a thunderous goal from Rodri gave Manchester City a 2-1 win here at Bramall Lane. Ali.
Thank you, Ian. We'll let you dash off and go downstairs and get the post-match reaction. Manchester City, 3 wins out of 3. A dramatic last 15 minutes. We'll be back with Paul Robinson at Bramall Lane shortly to digest the late drama there. The other game that kicked off at 2 o'clock in the Premier League, also over at Turf Moor. Burnley against Aston Villa. Maz Faruqi.
Yeah, Villa winning 3-1. Better second half from Burnley, though. They have their first goal of this Premier League season. Lyle Foster with a turn and then left-footed shot to rifle in just after half-time. And at that point, this seemed to point to game on. Remember, Villa were 2-1 up at that point after 2 first-half Matty Cash goals. But less than 15 minutes later, Villa were further out in front again. McGinn with power, with strength down the left to keep possession and then feed in Moussa Diaby. He scored Villa's third. New signing Nicolo Zaniolo came on and looked really sparky in the latter stages for Villa as well. They've scored 12 goals now, Aston Villa, in their last 3 games. No wonder the away fans over there just filing out of Turf Moor look really pleased with themselves. Full-time Burnley 1, Villa 3.
Thank you, Maz. 2 wins out of 3 for Aston Villa after the heavy opening weekend defeat away at Newcastle. Back to Bramall Lane. Paul Robinson doing the commentary with Ian Dennis this afternoon. I just wonder, Pep Guardiola watching it from afar, Paul, I wonder what he will have made of that Manchester City performance, because they had to work hard to get the goal. Erling Haaland missed the penalty in the first half. An awful error from Kyle Walker to give Sheffield United a way back in, but they found a way to win again.
Yeah, it was important that they got the result. After the first half dominance, you couldn't see how Sheffield United would get anything from this game. But they were resilient, they were tough, they were hard to break down. But like you say, Pep won't be pleased with the way that his team played in the second half. They conceded opportunities. Sheffield United were able to cause them problems at time. Not many, but they had an opportunity a couple of times. And then the error from Kyle Walker that let them back into the game. But they showed a toughness, they showed a resilience, what champions have. And I'm sure that Pep's back wouldn't have stood up to the amount of crouching down that he'd have been doing on the touchline today.
No, he wouldn't, Paul. I mean, we've said this already this season about Rodri and actually throughout last season as well. But, I mean, he is a pivotal figure for Manchester City at all times, but with the goals as well now. An incredible finish there.
It was an incredible finish from him, and he's key to a lot of things that Manchester City do. I mean, earlier in the last season he wasn't getting the credit he deserves, but there's one thing you look at Pep Guardiola's team sheets, when he picks his 11, when he's in the big games, if you like, when he's in the European Cup finals, when he's in Cup finals, when they're playing against the top 6 in the Premier League, the one consistency in his team selection, if fit, Rodri plays.
What have we learned about Sheffield United from there today, Paul? Because it's I mean, we kind of knew the performance we were going to see, because that came about because of necessity. Obviously, the next game is against Everton. They're obviously going to have to show more going forward, but obviously, well, we just didn't really see much of that from them today.
No, there wasn't a lot going forward, but there was one thing. There was a lot of Sheffield steel today. The manager got the tune from his players. They had a game plan, kept saying it in the commentary, but they were very, very tough to break down. Listen, they were very deep, they were resilient, they were hard to break down. But they're playing against the European champions. They're not as good as Manchester City, so they have to find a way to disrupt Manchester City. They have to find a way not to get beaten, and they did that in the first half. They had a lot of pride, a lot of passion. They worked very, very hard. Although they've lost, and listen, they could have got a point out of this game, the manager will be delighted with what he's got from his players today.
Yeah, just the last one on Manchester City, having watched them live today, Paul. Obviously, you know, a few changes this summer. We saw a couple of the new arrivals in the team again today. So Gvardiol and Kovacic settling in nicely, would you say?
Very much so. Kovacic looks like a different player in a Manchester City shirt. Gvardiol playing in left back, which is probably not his preferred. He'd probably prefer to play centre half. But no, they look good again. Pep said in his pre-season press conferences they've had 2 weeks less than everyone else to prepare. He's lost Gundogan, he's lost Mahrez, lost key players in his dressing room, but he's rotated again. He's brought players in. And for me, what I've seen at the start of this season, if anybody finishes above Manchester City this year, they'll win the league. But it's going to be a very tough job.
Paul, thank you. Safe journey home. Paul Robinson there, former England goalkeeper, alongside Ian Dennis this afternoon. Manchester City eking out a 2-1 win away to Sheffield United, taking the lead in the second half through Erling Haaland. Sheffield United pegging them back, but the late winner from Rodri has got the job done. So 3 wins out of 3. Manchester City made it 3 wins out of 3 at the start of this Premier League season, top of the table. They didn't make light work of beating Sheffield United 2-1 though. Jayden Bogle scored an equaliser for the home team after a Kyle Walker mistake before Rodri earned a late winner for City in that one. Here's the Manchester City defender Ruben Dias with Ian Dennis.
What a finish for a game that you'd controlled throughout.
Yeah, a lot of emotion in the end. Well, obviously, more than anything, happy to get the 3 points. That's what we came here to do. It quickly got complicated when we got the goal, but also in a season and as complicated as the seasons get more and more every year, it's important when these moments happen. When a tough moment comes at you and you're able to react, and it was the Rodri one. We had the Julian one just before, and I guess that in those, split of minutes, it was so quick, and we had 2-3 chances. I think that reaction of the team is something to take as a very big positive, and the fact that even though it was a tough goal to concede, and especially with the game almost finishing, the teams quickly changed the mindset to let's go after it again.
So 3 wins out of 3 for Manchester City, 3 defeats for Sheffield United. Despite that, the players and their manager Paul Heckingbottom received a standing ovation from their fans.
It would be nice to get a point rather than a standing ovation though, but yeah, we can't let that detract away from the performance. Yeah, we're a work in progress. It's tough at the minute. If we could have got to that moment where we were making the subs still being 0-0, I would have really fancied us. So to concede just before we were going to make the changes was tough. But you know what, to go 1 down to a team like City and get back in it, shows the spirit and shows the character.
Did you dare to dream when the equaliser went in, thinking it could be a precious point?
Yeah, of course. Because we had, besides the first goal, stood strong against everything they were throwing at us. In good positions, managed the game well, and retained quite a fair degree of control in the game, even though City had a lot of the ball in our half. And we made the mistake on the far side, but then the kick in the teeth, if you like, is when the ball comes in, it's actually Phil Foden who miscontrols and it drops straight in Rodri's path. So sometimes, it's not your day.
That's the Sheffield United boss Paul Heckingbottom speaking to Ian Dennis. Manchester City winning the game by 2-1. Elsewhere in the Premier League today, Aston Villa won 3-1 at Burnley. Matty Cash scored 2 of the goals. The lines are open for 606. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton taking your calls as always. Number to dial 08085 909 693.